It's here. It's time. We're back. It's the show. The one you've all been waiting for. The this one. It's this show. Hello. I am here. It is just I at the moment. Hopefully my co-hosts will come in soon. Well, that's just gonna be in the way, isn't it? There we go. Better. Um cool. Well, welcome back to Table Talk, discussion and discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Great on 95, and I am alone for now, but I will not be for long. We're back. We're back with more of the show. Apologies for the week off. My brain decided to succumb to the big sad. The big sad TM, excuse me. Can't forget to put that trademark there. So I wasn't feeling great. I was feeling quite low, quite bad, and I think I hear sirens. They're not coming for me this time, though I should be put in an institution. So I've been away, and I'm gonna do a little bit of faffing about for a little bit. FBI open up. Hey Slay, what's up? That's right. I'm gonna do a little bit of faffing about. If you're here right now, you will know this right now. I have to leave for like 20 minutes or so to go and get my roommate from work because he doesn't have a car, and I have to help him get there and back on occasion. So you know, I it will be a moment that I will be away, but hopefully by that time, Aiden and Boo will be here. But we will see. I also had COVID for the second time. Thanks, Gen Con. I'm better now, though. Well, welcome, Con. And also, that sucks. I'm sorry that you had COVID. I hope Gen Con was fun, though. Did you have a good time? Did you see Brogan? I hope it was a good time, at least. To make up for your, you know, however long it took for COVID to get out of your system. So yeah, it won't be for a little while. It'll be around 9:55, so in about 55 minutes from now, 56 minutes from now, then I'll have to go over there. And then I'll hurry right back. I will break all of the laws. I will drive through multiple houses, I promise you. And if I don't, I'm a liar. Obviously, because in this tone that I'm using right now, that doesn't sound too dissimilar from any other tone that I use. I am telling you the truth and what I will do, for certain. That is me. That is what I am doing to you right now. Okay. Anyway, since I've been away, I haven't been doing too much. All good. Gen Con is great, but no nat ones. So small, sad. Damn, that sucks, dude. I'm sorry for you. I've also returned from second COVID. Well, hello, Lux. That sucks as well. I'm sorry that you also had a second dose of COVID. I haven't had a second one yet, but I assume at some point, anytime soon, I will get one. It's just inevitable at this point, I think. But I've gone through it once. I can go through it again, and maybe I won't die. I don't know. We expect at least 10 traffic violations. I'll make sure to take a picture of the tickets. Yeah. I'll post them on the Discord. But yeah, I haven't been doing too much in my away time. I mostly secluded myself. If you are in our Discord, you would be able to see some of the photos of the one Necron that I did that one time. I think that was before I got real big sad. But that's the only thing that I did beforehand, and then after that, I kind of just secluded myself in my room. And I've been playing Spider-Man as of late. if you have any interest in that game, let me tell you, it has a fucking glowing recommendation from me. Go and get that game if you want it. It's really good. I'm having a great time. Speeding tickets, you mean high score receipt? That's right. The more violations that I get, the higher the amount that I have to pay, and that means I'm paying for my place on the leaderboard. One day I'll make it to the FBI, most wanted. That's right. But yeah, that was really fun, and I'm not done with it yet. I've been doing it a lot. I was doing it literally before I got on stream, so that's what I've been doing. That and Kirby's Forgotten Land. I don't know if I didn't even know that this game existed for a little while. I just was looking at my Switch in the store at one point, and I saw it, and man, that game is also really fun. If you don't know about it, go and check out Kirby's Forgotten Land. Kirby and the Forgotten Land, excuse me. That's the one. Also a good-ass game. Does not disappoint, Kirby. Kirby does not disappoint ever, which is great. Really nice. So, I've been doing things that are very healthy. Secluding myself and playing video games, and that's about it. Playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3. Nice. I've yet to play a Xenoblade Chronicles game, and one day I will. I promise. That will be a thing. They're huge. Yeah, it's one of those things that you gotta have a lot of time to sink into, and if it doesn't captivate me immediately, Kirby's my main in Super Smash Brothers. So is Kirby is one of my roommate's mains, actually. We were playing a bunch of Smash. I got a controller for my Switch, and I'm actually able to play Smash again, because I can't do it with the Joy-Cons. The Joy-Cons just don't feel right, 90 hours in? Nice. Jesus. Yeah, like one of those JRPGs will take so much of your time. Any RPG, really, if it's got a lot in it. And, excuse me. And you really gotta be into it to actually like play it through. And the last one that I did, what I want to do is actually play through some Final Fantasy games. I do want to play through a couple of them specifically. 9, and I do want to get Tactics at some point and actually play through that. But those are, they'll take a long time. And also Chrono Trigger, obviously. I do want to play that at some point. And I know it's been one of those things that maybe I'll do it for this channel, actually. Because we've had a lot of discussions about Chrono Trigger in the past. And I might actually just do it for like a digital distraction. It'd be interesting. I don't know. I've heard rumblings of a Tactics remake. Dude, that'd be sick. You can't find the old copy without it being like $200. So fair enough. Cool. Remaster more like it. That's totally fair. That's fine. I'm totally fine with that. If I can have a not $200 copy of it, I'm fine with it. And if it's at least just fine, not just like a shitty remaster like's been happening occasionally, which sucks. But By the way, that Spider-Man game is a remaster. The one that I've been playing. I forgot that it was. Well, I didn't forget that it was only on PS5 and PS4, I think, before. But thankfully, Sony has now wisened up and is starting to like actually get things onto Steam. So it's very interesting. Played a lot of Dragon's Dogma last week, but I'm slipping into City Skylines this week. Fair enough. I've yet to start Dragon's Dogma. I got that in a bundle. Tactics Ogre is getting a remaster. Tactics Ogre. You're talking about Tactics A2? Grimoire of the Rift? No, you're not. You would be saying that. Ogre? I don't know. No. Dragon's Dogma is on my list to play because I hear a lot of good things. And then City Skylines I played a bit. It's good. I'm bad at it, Tactics Ogre was a Super NES game. Hello, Indigo. Well, thank you. Similar to Tactics. Gotcha. Cool. Hey, I love tactics games. I was playing Wargroove not too long ago. That was kind of fun. It was alright, you know? It reminded me of, what the fuck? What is it? Or PS1? Oh. It was like, Advanced Wars, kind of. That was kind of neat. I liked that a little bit. What was the other game that I was playing not too long ago? Let me just pull up my Steam really quick. No, I closed it for a reason. I don't want it to accidentally, like, download something. Triangle Strategy was really good. Never heard of it. Precursor to Final Fantasy Tactics. Oh, Tactics Ogre was? Really? Cool. Let me look at Triangle Strategy. On the Nintendo Switch. Oh, this one! Yeah. Okay. I saw that. I saw that, that on the store. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I wanted to get that, actually, because it looks really cool. And it's got that similar style to Octopath. Like, art style, I mean, sorry. Cool. Anyway, so, yeah, I think that's good with my faffing for now. Aiden might be 15 to, like, 20 minutes late. And Boo will wake up when he wakes up. Sleepy boy and working boy. Hello tonight. Hello. So I think we should start with the topic today. Now, I was browsing through YouTube, as I do before the show, listening to snippets of things and looking at titles and clickbait fucking thumbnails, right? Because that's just what you do when you go on YouTube and you're looking at D&D content, right? Always look at those things and see if something catches your eye. And a couple of them did. And it got me on this theme of like, Dungeon Master secrets and mistakes, right? And both of the videos tonight are going to be from a single channel, one that we've covered a few times now. And it's the one that I always give a chance, but always seems to let me down in some way. It is, of course, the DM layer. I wish I had more good things to say, more positive things to say about when we cover this man's content. But every time, he seems to find a way for me to go, what are we doing? You know? DM layer, yes. You will recognize the man. We'll get there. So, I think today we'll start off with the secrets portion of our secrets and mistakes. That is, of course, this video called 5 Dungeon Master Secrets to Keep Behind the Screen in D&D. Very easy, very interesting thing to say, because, you know, I would assume it's, and I'll put it on the screen here. I would assume that the secrets will be, like, monster health, maybe rolling perception, maybe, right? Because that's a thing. Oh, this guy. Yeah, that's right. What is a DM? A miserable pile of secrets. Thank you, Lux. Yes. Good Castlevania reference. I love Castlevania so much. So I'm hoping that we can just agree on what this man has to say, right? Because easy. This is a slam dunk. It's 10 minutes and 1 second. Easy slam dunk of things that you keep secret behind the screen. Okay? I think that it should be fine. Now, I say this every time, but this time I'm more confident than usual. All right? So, let us begin. The nightmare never ends. Here we go.
It is so tempting to reveal to your D&D players metagame information after the game session is over. What would have happened if? The secret loot they missed, and so on. But the counterintuitive truth is that revealing certain out-of-character information to your players will worsen their game experience and make it far less satisfying. Today,
I'm already in contentionsville. Population me. Okay. So, no, I don't agree with this because it's one of those things where I think that if you tell them, like, it could have gone this way had you done this, or you could have found this had you gone this way, right? It's just kind of, I don't know, it's one of those things where you can kind of, as a DM, flex, like, how much you've prepared, what's everything, like, what your ideas were for the session itself, like where you expected things to go. If they go a completely off the book way, right? If you have a few things planned and then they take, as is what we usually say, they have A, B, C as your prepared things, and you're like, okay, I'll leave it open for more things, and they choose fucking J, right? And J is one of those letters that you just don't think of usually. It could be any letter. It doesn't, J is whatever. But you know what I'm saying? It's one of those things where it's like, I completely didn't expect you guys to do this. I thought you might do this or this and lead to this, right? And it's similarly with the piles of loot that they missed, right? You could tell them that they need to go back, or that they missed this stuff, but usually you tell them that when they don't go back to that place, when it's less of a place that's replayable, quote unquote, right? Where you have maybe a slowly sinking dungeon that is in the mires, right? And it's just slowly being consumed by a sinkhole, and once it gets consumed, then who knows where it'll go. But if you go down there, you will probably die. Okay? And then potentially they could still want to go down there, even after you tell them about stuff. But in character, it doesn't make any sense for them to go back because they're already out and through and they think they found everything. Why would they have this inkling of, I think we missed something, right? After you tell them about it. It's more of one of those things where I think you have to trust your players a little bit to not use this information in such a way that is going to be metagamey, right? Because again, as we've said before, and as we will continue to say, at least I will, metagaming is not hard to stop yourself from doing, as far as I'm aware. Keeping that stuff out of your mind, like recognizing when you have thoughts of, this is metagame knowledge, this is something that I shouldn't know, and then trying not to act off it, or correcting yourself if you've kind of acted off it yourself and somebody has kind of pointed out, or you pointed out to yourself, right? Correcting yourself and going, wait, actually, I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't know this. Never mind, right? Because we all make mistakes sometimes, right? But if you're playing with people that are just going to say, fuck it, I'm going to use every single piece of information that's given to me, regardless of if my character would actually know it or not, then we need to have a conversation, right? DM to player. Less of, this is my fault entirely, okay? And it's less of something that is their fault entirely, potentially, right? It depends on how things are going in the table. 20 seconds in.
Today's deep dive on this topic will include a rule of thumb for what you should reveal to your players, 5 things you should never reveal to them, and a note on exceptions to these rules. If the character doesn't know it,
we're already at the point of like, you're now saying never do this, except sometimes you can already with your words, friend. And now we're at, if the character doesn't know it, the player doesn't know it. So again, I'll reiterate, it's not hard for you to recognize when you should know, or when your character should know something and when they shouldn't know something. It's really isn't that difficult. It's fine if there are ways for you to do this, like it's fine if it's harder for you to do that. But here's a couple of tips that I have for you, okay? If your character knows something, write it down. Okay? You make a whatever you're using for notes, you make that your notebook of this is what my character knows. You write down what they know. You don't write down what they shouldn't know, right? In a sandbox game, this would make more sense. In the sense of what? If the player knows it, then the character, or sorry, if the character doesn't know it, the player doesn't know it. Because I think in general, I mean, we all kind of operate off that. And if we're doing like a one shot or something, like, sure, we don't give a shit at that point, but. Hello.
Howard.
Ah.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I just got home and literally had time to wash my hands and my lunch bag, unpack my lunch. I don't have a lunch box. I just use a tote and load stuff in it.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair.
I just unpacked that, washed my hands, and then immediately sat down for the podcast.
Fantastic.
I'm your second host, Captain Chiral.
There you go. There he is. Well, good to have you. Good to have you.
You probably want me in the watch together.
I would have preferred it if you were, yeah.
Fine.
Let me... Thank you.
God. Okay,
we're going to be covering
shit.
We're going to be covering 2 DM layer videos today. So get excited. I already had a contention 20 seconds in, and now we're 33 seconds in.
DM layer, what a treat. May I ask what the contention was? Or
the contention...
just rather say what was stated and let me form my own opinions, and then you can share your contentions.
Sure. So he said that you should not share with your players potentials that they have missed because it worsens their game experience, such as loot that they had missed or choices that they might have done differently and such.
Okay. I also have some slight contentions. But they're fairly minimal because, yes, telling your players, hey, you missed out on this, as a player whose DMs in the past have, done this to me, I go, oh, fuck, damn it. And then I go, well, now I know better how the DM thinks and plans stuff, so in the future, I am more likely to not miss it. And that's kind of a yay. Then I became a DM, and that kind of warped my perspective as a player. And if a DM tells me, hey, you missed out on this special sword that's tailor-made to your character, I go, oh fuck, I missed out on it. But now that item's in the world, that item is going to be in some loot pool somewhere else.
Sure. Yeah, I more just saw it as sometimes it's just something that the DM kind of wants to flex their creative capability and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a little thing that they can do that isn't something that's going to be harmful for the players at all. Really, I don't see how it could make them have less fun or anything. More just that they will now know, yeah, like you said, there are things in the world that I put in here, and now you know that I do this way, you know? It's not a bad thing, I don't think, inherently, so I don't understand why it's not a good thing to do. But Who knows? I'm not the one who's what was the thing he used to claim a lot? Oh yeah, he's been a DM since high school. So who knows? What do I know? I have no idea.
Could be more impressive.
Yeah, I know.
When
So now
did
we're on.
Garibay begin? Was it 12?
Yeah, Garibay was 12. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, you know, Garibay could have been in high school at 12.
True. He could have been a genius. A prodigy, one might say. Also,
transhuman.
That's right.
In fact,
that's right. Also, I just want to remind you, Aiden, that at 9:55, I will have to quickly go out for about 20 minutes to go and get my roommate and come back because he is working.
Sounds like perfect timing to me because I am going to have like supper to make.
Okay.
And that will give me a chance to get most of the way through it.
Sounds good. Okay. I will put on music in the background for people, for those waiting. So apologies, future, everybody. That's going to happen. Anyway, now we're at the point of if the character doesn't know it, the player doesn't know it, which I have already reiterated my thoughts of metagaming is easy to not do. Just compartmentalize the information and recognize when you're working off of information that you shouldn't be. Very simple. Let's see what he says.
Player doesn't know it. This is the rule to rule all rules. Most of the other specific things we're going to go over follow this simple guideline. It's a simple rule too. If the player's character in the game doesn't know something, then the Dungeon Master should not tell the player that something. Okay, I know that was a mind-bending deep truth right there. So let's look at 5 specific things that I think Game Masters are prone to tell the players that they probably shouldn't. These are the things to always keep behind the screen and not tell your players.
Except for when he tells you about the exceptions to these things, which he also has mentioned he will say. So.
Oh, fun.
Yes, so we're getting there.
So, like, in my last campaign, one of my players, I tried, sharing some information, and one of my players, admittedly, was her first time playing D&D, but she was like, oh, no, we don't know that, we can't know that, and I'm like, you are allowed to know, actually, so I found myself disagreeing, but with the caveat. So, continuing my point, I'm like, there is still some stuff that you are allowed to know.
Yes.
However, my caveat being, a DM, if you say, oh, you separate out character knowledge from player knowledge, you compartmentalize, that holds true, but there is no hard and fast limit to that statement. Why not, for the sake of argument, does the DM not just write a campaign and then immediately spill all the deepest secrets and who's going to betray the party and who's actually working for the enemy at session 2?
Sure.
So I will say that there are how would I put this? Not exceptions, but just your mileage may not your mileage may vary. Just you can take the rule to an extent, I guess, of just twists that are meant to be enjoyable for the players. Would be and that require your players to be in the dark about.
Right.
Yes, you should keep those twists secret. However, if it's something dude, you can tell your players what the AC of the wolf is.
Right.
Characters don't know what a fucking AC is.
Right.
we're all like adults. Like
Mm-hmm.
I literally created a some improv Tabaxi Brothers that I based off of the Dandelions. Uh and afterward, like I was chatting with my players about it and talking about like how the Dandelions were all like kind of trying to suss out the D&D party and like what the D&D party found funny so that they could try to focus on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Um and I told my D&D players this after the fact because it was a ad-libbed NPC encounter that literally I think I had 30 seconds of prep time. Um and afterward, I'm like, they will never meet this, like, the dandelions again.
Mm.
Uh, we can chat with them and I can share stuff that they do not need to know.
Sure. Yeah.
Sorry, I can share stuff that the characters would not know.
Yeah.
Um, because my players will find it enjoyable to know. Like, literally, it seems like an oversimplification.
Yeah,
Like,
I think it's just obvious what you don't share with them in the sense of like as you said, things that are actually for the dramatic purpose of the story. I think that's
yeah,
not at all what he's talking about, and I don't think that anybody would think that, though I sometimes I wonder. But
like Boo wasn't telling us session 3 into Devils and Dice that Tharnanar was gonna
right.
the fuck over the party.
Yeah, exactly. So like spoilers for Devils and Dice if you haven't watched it. But
They've had quite a bit of time to watch
they
Devils
have.
and
They
Dice.
have. But so I don't. This is one of those things where it's like, man, yeah, I guess we like what are we doing? You know, like what? Yes, the players don't know things that they shouldn't know because it will ruin some things for them. But I don't think that's anything that we need to restate because if you're unless you're a child who's very hard like unable to keep things to themselves, I guess, um then they're probably not going to share the the actual plot of the campaign of the whole overarching story. Like I don't think that anyone's going to do that. um Maybe accidentally they might do something that hints at stuff or some of that kind of stuff, but there's like the DM will share whatever they want to share. It's fine. Again, just the compartmentalization is the easy part. It's the thing you do. Uh, to me, it does because of the nature of how a pure sandbox would play out. If the game is more episodic, then spoilers are more okay because that part of the adventure slash story is really over. But that's me. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's fair enough. With something like a like a module or any of those kinds of things, like a very linear story, then afterwards, telling all that stuff is fine because it's over. But I think even in a sandbox, it's fine. It just depends on what you share. And I think you as a DM should be cognizant of what you're sharing. And just make sure that it's not going to be something that, I don't know, is too much, I guess. I usually keep things to myself more for immersion than out of concern about metagaming. And that's also fair. That's also another way
Yeah,
to do it.
that's a valid storytelling
Yeah,
style.
exactly. Like there's no reason to not, and it's fine if you do share. Like it's just one of those things where I think like it shouldn't be, super demonized. I think it's fine. But anyway.
Number 1, things they missed in an adventure.
we
Loot
go.
and secret doors and secret areas are the most common things characters will miss in an adventure. The rationale around sharing this information with players goes something like this. If they already played through that adventure, there's no harm in telling them what they missed, right? And you'd be wrong. Let's ignore the fact that players could just then decide to go back later and take another look just in case.
Then they're fucking metagaming, aren't they?
Yeah. And you know what you do?
You cut
As
off
a
their
DM?
hands. No, that's wrong.
You fuck them over for it. Like,
Yeah.
you go, okay,
Do that.
everyone gets one. You can have this treasure, but now there's something hunting you.
Sure, yeah, make it a cursed thing of some sort.
Yeah.
right? It's. This is just like he's already going. But your players very much could. It's like, come on, man. We all have a little bit of faith, okay? And if they do, that's unfortunate. But we have to have a conversation. We have to have a fucking conversation about why you shouldn't do that.
Healthy metagamers
But you don't understand. There is nothing physically keeping them from going back to that area. And
Nothing.
clearly, the only thing that would stop people from, like, being scumbags is like an actual threat instead of, I don't know, just a desire to not ruin the fun for themselves.
Exactly, right.
that, but not your players. Who knows? It'd be a whole new.
Oh, don't. I just want to play that.
Don't beg the question.
No. This before he's doing a whole, and I don't like this bit. I just want to play it out.
Telling them what they missed, right? And you'd be wrong. Let's ignore the fact that players could just then decide to go back later and take another look just in case. Filthy metagamers might attempt that, but not your players. Who knows?
It's just one of those things where it's like, come on, man.
I don't appreciate the whole, like, oh, I have faith in my players to not be scumbags.
Yeah.
Thusly, the only, like, your options are like this puts forth the idea that all players are either metagamers or their DM is a fool.
Yeah, it makes trust feel bad to have, and that's weird. Why would you do that?
Like, you're intentionally putting a tone on, like, oh, but
I'm
not
just
your
joking.
players.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, my players are
wouldn't.
my players are my friends.
Yeah.
Are your players not your friends?
Why would you do that? It's not funny. It's just whatever. Okay. Immersion factor and story emergence are the big reasons for me. That's fair enough, yeah. Absolutely. Again, any reason to keep some things away from your players is totally valid. Absolutely, that's fine. As long as it's not something that's like something that they should know, right? But if it's something that's like, you know, you want to just keep immersion and shit, then you're fine. Absolutely.
It'd be a whole new level of sleaze. But I wouldn't rule it out. Sounds like something I might do in a game.
Real cool of you to, like, call yourself out, and when that information was not requested, but
Why did you do that? Why are you like this? Every time I give you... This is a slam dunk, my man. 5 things to just keep secret from your players. It's fucking slam dunk, okay? You can give me your reasoning and such, and say these things like immersion and all of this kind, like literally things that people are saying in the chat that are fucking sensible, okay? It's so easy. I fucking handed you the basket. It is right there in front of you. I am holding it.
I'm a player, but yeah, you just told me about the magic item back there. I'm gonna go back and look for it. But there are 2 other reasons to avoid this. First of all, you might reuse some of that content in a future game. Yes, that's right, fellow Dungeon Masters. Welcome to the world of recycling your unused content for future adventures. The second reason I'll get to in my next point.
Well, so if you're going to reuse something, you can make it slightly different, right? Like you can change it up in a way that makes it so it's not recognizable immediately. And then after you use it, you can then tell your players, hey, you remember when we did that thing, like, last campaign, and you didn't find it? Guess what? You found it this time. And they go, hey! Because they might remember. I don't... You know. It's just...
I don't know.
It's just... It's one of...
This video makes me feel like I am a raid boss and I have been defeated.
Already. Oh, it's only been 2 minutes
I know,
and 10.
I know.
And you weren't even here for 20 seconds of it, or 30 seconds of it. Holy shit. Oh.
It bodes poorly.
It does bode poorly, and don't worry, we have a second video from him after. It's great.
Wondrous.
I'm so excited.
But first, a shameless plug for this video's amazing sponsor,
Sure,
Describe.
fuck it. Go for it.
Describe.com is an awesome resource for game masters who'd like to improve their narrative descriptions and set incredible scenes for their players.
Oh,
Simply
neat.
type in the name of a monster, spell, or place and get beautifully written boxed text that you can read or paraphrase to your players.
That looks super cool. Neat. If you're having a moment of like, then you can do that. Cool. This guy is sponsored? Oh, of course. He's like got 20-something thousand, 115,000 subscribers. So like, yeah, of course he's sponsored.
And with Describe's new Enchanter
Feels
Academy
good.
Don't worry about it.
scenes, you can get that perfect narrative description to complement your new Strixhaven campaign. Check out Describe at the link below. There are hundreds of free scenes for you to use. And if you decide to unlock everything with a paid subscription, use the discount code TheDMLayer to get 10% off.
Play the algorithm, get sponsored. Exactly. That's why we won't ever be sponsored.
Your first payment. Number 2, what would have happened if? Players love doing this. After the game session, they come up to you and are like, say, Luke, what would have happened if we had let that goblin go free and try to make a deal with his tribe on our behalf? I mean, I know we murderized him, but would it have worked if we had tried? My advice to you is to keep your lips sealed when your players approach you with these hypothetical what-if questions.
But why? Because you can answer with a hypothetical that makes it so that they aren't sure. It's so easy. You just say, I don't know, potentially.
Yeah, like, so I tend to, like, avoid answering these questions conclusively,
Exactly.
generally, because, like, D&D is a game with infinite variables.
Yes.
And because of that, like, any one prediction is just as invalid as an infinite number of other predictions.
Yeah.
As such, most of the time, like, I will, like, if someone says, what would have happened if we let that goblin go? I would share the immediate, like, tendency, I guess, that would have upon the world of,
Sure.
like, well, he would probably go to his camp. And then, like, they probably would have not cared for you, or maybe they would have seen you as gods. Who knows?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's really easy to just go, and then and you can go into what hypothetically could happen in any way, in any direction you want, because it doesn't matter at that point. That's not gonna happen. So why the fuck wouldn't you give them at least some entertainment of, I mean, potentially you guys could have done exactly what you wanted, or
They're thinking about the campaign, like,
yeah. And like you can even sprinkle in some useless information that they never would have gotten otherwise. Like if you had befriended this little goblin, you would have known that this little guy really loves apples, like so much to the point that he worships them. God, he loves the shit out of them. He wants to make an apple god. Like,
man is about some apples.
Yeah, exactly. He really wish he could ascend to be the god of apples. That is his goal in life. He is dead now.
Yeah.
You know. Skim the site, describe site is pretty cool and has Foundry integration. There you go. Cool. This is I'm just going to let sponsors play now for these channels because it's fine. Like, I don't care anymore. We're not going to be making money from that anyway, and I don't care if we don't, you know? Yeah, so it's just a weird thing to say of like, don't fucking do this. Like, dude, do you not want to have some fun? It's kind of fun just to see what they then go.
Do you not want a theory craft?
Right. That,
with
like,
the people that you built this campaign for?
Exactly. And like, you'll see how much fun they have with trying to figure out how they would have done things as well, and like what things could have led to things, and then they have this whole speculation, and then maybe they come up with their own silly lore about everything about the situation, and then you go, that's fun, and then you have an inside joke, and you become better as friends. It's crazy, man. It's like social interaction evolves in various ways, and if you deny it...
No, he's going to go back and take a second look at the missing item.
That's right. I'm sorry, I forgot.
After a game session, I usually just respond with something like, I guess you'll never know, while smiling, and my player is like, oh crap, come on. Even though your players want to know, it's way more fun for everyone if they don't. And why, might you ask?
So they don't know. They still don't know. In our scenario, they still don't know.
Yeah.
So guess what? Fun is still had in different ways. Whoa. It would be my dream.
Furthermore,
yeah,
I would like go out on a bit of a limb, and I would say, sure, you know what? Maybe not telling your players helps them, like helps those players to have more fun.
Sure.
My players may be different.
Yes, exactly. I can't wait until we get to the exception. Man, I can't wait. It would be my dream to have an AU spawn for my campaign. Yeah, exactly. That'd be sick, right? Like, they get inspired to the point where they make something out of what could have happened. That's crazy, right? That would be awesome. Anyway.
Luke, why? I'm melodramatic and over the top at times. I do apologize.
I don't believe that you are. I think you just do it for the camera. Anyway.
You're just gonna have to live with it. You're gonna have to live with the crazy man on the YouTube. Anyway, to this I say, don't underestimate the power of mystery and the unknown. Not knowing drives our curiosity and stokes our imaginations. Some things are better left unknown, and indeed more fun if unknown.
Potentially. Again, big maybe, you know? But like, again, maybe they can have some known fun with scenarios that don't actually exist. It's like what we do with D&D, except we take the scenario that we just went through that we can't go back on now, and we go, what if we went the other way, though?
But no, they could they could go in and they could take another look at the area. And I would do the same.
He tries hard to be funny. He's not. I'm sure somebody thinks he's funny.
Furthermore, not knowing the what-ifs for past decisions makes their future decisions that much more interesting and important for players.
What? Oh, I hope he explains it.
Don't know quite how to explain this, really. It's just something that I know intuitively. Number 3.
Cool.
I'm sorry.
Cool. I love making claims with no proof.
Now let me steel man you, friend. Okay, let me do the steel manning for you. Yeah, potentially, if the player doesn't know what scenarios would come out of certain instances, they could then want to try and enact those instances in later scenarios, right? And then it makes it so that they potentially could have more fun that way, where they find different ways to act out in character and all of this stuff. But I posit, as a counter, is that the player or is that the character? That's the player. And are they acting in character if they suddenly do a shift and they don't murderize the goblins all the time? Did they learn from that experience? Is that a thing? That's a player question. That's something they have to figure out, right? But it's something that you could do just if you don't give a fuck, I guess. Sure, that's fine. And you could just do it if you just want to. That's also fine. But I wanna make it like a thought that being role-playing a character means that I don't think that they're going to completely shift their personality immediately because they as a player want to do something completely different now. They might retire their character and play somebody else who can do that, potentially, or they might go through steps to make that character that way, potentially. There's many things that can come out of this. Absolutely. It's not hard to try to find a way to explain it when it's already something that is kind of nebulous. So, my friend, please, if you're going to just say something, at least give me some rationale behind it. Doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I just want to know how you think. Because the way that you think is making me upset. Because you keep saying that you're going to take advantage of things.
So, DM layer.
Yeah. Luke. His name is Luke.
Luke.
Mm-hmm.
No, DM layer.
There you go.
We have something in the scientific community, and I know you're not a scientist, so I wouldn't expect you to know this, but it is still a fantastic building block onto of logic. This concept is called the burden of proof. And that is, the statement is, when you make a claim, you must provide proof for your claim. Mm-hmm. You cannot provide a claim and then say, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
So all of the people on Facebook who are saying vaccines are socialism, prove me wrong.
Right, yeah.
Provide no burden of proof.
Exactly.
And you are more than free to disregard anyone who does not provide proof.
Yeah.
Perhaps you might know a famous quote by Carl Sagan: "Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence."
There you go. I think Indigo did a little bit of one of those. All great claims require great proof. So
yeah,
it's another variation.
And I have in recent years gotten even more and more frustrated by when people don't provide proof for a statement. Hence my consternation at your previous point. But I would thank you kindly if you're making a video in the future of 5 Dungeon Master secrets to keep behind the screen. Tell us why.
Please. God, please.
DM to DM, tell us why.
It just helps with trying to convince people.
No, I know it intuitively, though.
Yeah, well, I can't argue with that.
If someone says, but I know it intuitively, you just go, okay, why do I care?
Yeah, like, I'm glad you know it intuitively. Can you explain how you know it, please?
Yeah.
Because
And if you can't explain it, then you probably don't know it. So, for
Yeah.
instance, a very typical way that people will help each other to study is
Yes.
they try to explain the topic to each other.
Yes.
Because if you can explain it, that helps you to know it. It that forms the neurons bridging in your mind.
Yes. Well,
For instance, if you have access to like perhaps a very young like sibling or cousin, and be
if you
like,
have
"All right,
access.
5-year-old, I'm going to explain quantum mechanics to you," and they'll blink off time at you, and you go, "Oh, you are the perfect audience."
Exactly.
Explaining things helps you understand things,
Yes.
and if you can't explain it, then try.
Please, God, please try.
I would rather an explanation that is like the caveat of I will try to explain this, but I
Yeah.
can't really explain this too well, but it's sort of like, and then you go
You
on
proceed,
about
yeah.
it. And even if you fail, at least there was an attempt.
Yes, exactly.
Like
But
this is high school paper level of like,
yeah.
murder is bad and I know it intuitively, but I can't explain why.
Yeah, so before we get to rule 3 or number 3, I think this is a good point for me to step out and go and get my roommate. And I will start our lovely no copyright jazz in the background for the 20 to 30 minutes that it will take me. It shouldn't take more than 20 minutes, but you never know sometimes.
Hopefully cooking dinner for 20 or 30 minutes will help calm me down.
Exactly. Oh, you won't be ready for part 2 of the video. By part 2, I mean
Wondrous.
I don't know. I have not seen it. So, let me get this. There we are. Okay. Just caught up in just in time for silence. Well, there you go. So I'm gonna put this jazz in the background. This is, you can literally find this. It's the first result I got from royalty-free jazz, and it's royalty-free jazz. All Creative Commons music. It's from the channel Relax Music Meditation, apparently. No copyright, coffee house jazz, calm jazz music, relax music meditation. If I get claimed for this, I swear to God. Anyway, so I will return shortly, and I will mute both the my audio and the Discord audio, so you don't have to worry about hearing Aiden eventually just explode from his oven. So it'll be great. We'll be right back, everybody. Hello. I'm glad you take us all on this little adventure. That's fair. I don't care if we're successful at YouTube. Want proof? Leave staring on stream. Hey man, I have obligations. Okay, I got shit to do. No, Oh, I've heard this before. Oh, perfect. What a good time to stop. So, I hope you enjoyed our jazz interlude. That will be cut out of the VOD. Promise. I will remember that. Or will I? Hell, I had to leave during my own stream when I would stream on my own. I had to leave and come back. You just put on a BRB screen and that's about it. And honestly, I'm fine with it. I don't care. It's not like we're again, it's not like if we're quote unquote successful, it really changes anything. The show will probably be the same. But I hope you all enjoyed the jazz. I love jazz. Just as good. Oh, I assume Aiden is still making food. Did that take me 20 minutes? Let me see. I looked at the time before I left. Yeah, it did. Hey. Cool. Well, I have a drink now, so exciting. Now I can actually, like, scream and not die, hopefully. We'll see how it goes. Okay. I did warn you guys. I did warn you at the beginning that I would leave. That is a thing that I said. And I did it. Don't ever say that I'm a liar. Don't ever do it. Excuse me. Okay. So. I kind of don't want to keep going until Aiden gets back. Just because I want him to suffer with me. I hope he hears me. Because this is pain. These videos usually are pain. And it's just like, whoa, man. Why are we, why are we so weird with our claims and such? What are these rules? I can't wait for the exceptions. Because man oh man, I bet he goes back on some of what he says because of the exceptions, right? I bet. Has to happen. Okay. So. Let's, I guess, soldier on. And Aiden will join us when he does. Oh.
If you fudged anything. Never, ever, ever reveal fudging of any type to your players. Let's say that you were fudging your dice rolls behind the screen to avoid a TPK. Nobody's ever done that before, have they? Or you allowed their solution to the riddle to work even though it wasn't the correct answer. Here's the problem with your players knowing that you're doing this. It demeans player agency and tells them that their choices and actions don't matter in the game. It doesn't matter.
That's true. This is actually, this is one of those things that is a slam dunk. I don't fudge things. I hate fudging things, but I know that's a thing that people do, and I don't dissuade you from doing it. I just like to have things be as it is when I play, right? And I'm fine with, if I don't know, then it's fine, I'm not gonna go around suspecting that a bunch of people are fudging dice, right? What a frame to pause on. What a frame. I don't disagree with what he's saying now. I just don't like the way he's saying it. No, he's saying it like a condescending dick. With the fucking, no one has ever done that before. It's like, come on, dude. What is that? Why are we doing this, He's doing this with every point, because it's like, somebody's gonna say. It's like, dude, you realize what you're doing here. It's being weirdly antagonistic, in a way. Also, the only correct answer to a riddle is the one that PCs come up with. Yes. Yes. The one that PCs can come up with and the one that actually, will work. If it's something like, if you're going, let's be incredibly hyperbolic, okay? They have to get through a door. They want to squeeze their barbarian through the keyhole, okay? That's something that they think that they can do, and so they try it. Would you allow that? Now, it depends on the campaign, of course. It depends on the players, of course. But in most serious settings, quote unquote, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's one of those things that's going to happen. But most everything else that is within reason is probably going to work. Probably going to happen. Because that's just how it is, right? If you're reasonable, you will give them the opportunity to do things within reason, right? But yeah, this is one of those things where, yeah, easy dunk here. If you fudge, don't tell them that you fudge, because fuck me, if somebody told me that some of like my best things were due to fudging, I would feel like shit. I would feel like I didn't deserve any of that, right? I would feel like whatever should have happened to me, I should have just died, or whatever would have come about. Because it's just like, why? What's the point at that point? Right? Which is why I don't fudge, because what is the point afterwards, personally? Again, not dissuading, just saying what I feel about it.
Matter that you all picked a fight with an ancient black dragon, your dungeon master made sure you won regardless. It doesn't matter that you gave the wrong answer, your DM's got your back. When your players know that you are fudging things to affect outcomes, and especially if it's to tell the story you want to tell, it can straight up ruin the game experience for them. They'll know that your world is not a living, breathing world where their choices matter. Instead, it's a highly curated world where you simply decide what will happen when, and your players are...
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
That was shorter than 20 minutes.
No, it was 20 minutes. I left when the recording was at 56 minutes, and I came back at 15 after 1 hour.
I just finished cutting up my chicken and my onions. I've not even begun cooking them yet. Secondly, so I have been thinking, because I am still angry about the I just know it.
Oh.
And I would like to open the door.
Okay.
Luke. I would like to open the door for you to say, to justify your explanation of I just know it. Because we are, admittedly, I will happily concede that we are watching your video on your channel. We have come to you as a pundit to weigh upon our DMing styles, I guess.
And these are the secrets that you should keep, yes.
Yes.
Apparently.
And I will freely and happily concede that you are the one that we have ostensibly sought out for advice. And you can say, I just know this.
True.
And you can say you just know that if you wish. However, do be aware of the fact that then I will respond with, well, that's just an appeal to authority.
Sure, yeah.
Because I don't know where else you could possibly go with saying, I just know this.
Except for I've DM'd since I was in high school.
I do know one other place, and it's I've been a DM since I was 12.
Right, yes.
Also, my peony's heating up. Hold on.
Okay. My younger brother once accidentally locked himself in his room, and when my mother and I tried to get him to just unlock the door, he slipped the end of his shoelace under the and said, "Pull me through." He was like 4. That's great. I love that. I've fudged a few times, only went bad luck, insane on the player side. That's fair enough. This is the thing. Again, I don't discourage you from fudging if you really don't want like something to happen that would be detrimental.
I'm going to be gone for like just a moment while my chicken cooks.
Yeah. No worries. So again, you're totally fine to fudge if it is something that you think that is better for the game itself and the story and everything. I personally don't care if the dice are going to fuck me or fuck them. right? Because that's just how the dice work. And so I think it just becomes one of those things that we just roll with the punches, right? It's all kind of an improv story. And if something incredibly unfortunate does happen, we figure out a way to deal with it. Okay? It's just one of those things, right? And usually, if it's like a death or something, you can turn that into an element. If you really don't want those characters to die, you could instead, after they die, make it now the quest, where now they have to resurrect the character. They have to find a way. You can absolutely make that the next kind of thing. Or trying to find whatever it is, like another thing that you need that you might have completely destroyed when you tried to make your magic spell or something, right? There's many ways to go through it, at least from my perspective, and I like to explore the hardships that come with the random acts of fucking God that completely destroy, you know, the life of these characters. I like to explore that, and I don't know. Maybe I just really like the misery. Maybe I just really like overcoming that misery that could take place. So that's why I just don't fudge. I don't know.
Are powerless to affect it. I've discussed in prior videos the importance of player agency and making their choices meaningful, so I won't belabor the point. But what I will do is give you a better solution than not telling them that you're fudging things. Stop fudging things!
Oh,
mostly. He's yelling at me. Don't fudge things, mostly. Luke, I don't know. All right, calm down. Let's just calm down. In my games, my dice rolls are public, except for very specific ones, such as death saving throws, that I intentionally hide for very specific reasons. I want my players to see the dice. I want them to know that I'm not changing things behind the screen. For the record, I never fudge death saving throws, but I sometimes do fudge other dice rolls that don't have a discernible impact on outcomes and don't affect player agency, such as rolling for random encounters.
Well, now we know. I assume your players watch your videos, so now they know. You've just told your players that you do this. I know it's negligible, but you've just violated your own rule, I think.
Say. Sometimes you need a random encounter, or another random encounter is the last thing you need. Believe me.
So this is the thing. With random encounters, you can just pick. Like, I know that's the whole point, is to roll it out and then get the random encounter to come through. And then you play through them. But, like, you could just pick it. If it's something that, like, if you look through them and you go, oh, I've done this, I've done this, I want to do this one. I don't know. Is that against the spirit? What is the stipulation here, I guess?
Me. I've been in game sessions where, by the luck of the dice, we've rolled up random encounter after random encounter after random encounter, and it's not that fun. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment for the algorithm down.
You know, I'm glad he put it in 6.5 minutes in. Good job, Luke. There you go.
Below. Let YouTube know what you like on your nachos, and you know that I don't completely suck. Nachos. Number 4, monster
editing. Oh no. We're doing the monster stat thing. Like, obviously, if your characters would know some things, then you could have them roll to see if they recall some things, or if the fight has gone on long enough to the point of, like, it doesn't fucking matter at this point. You've hit the wolf on 14s, and you don't hit them on things lower than 14. You can just tell them it's 14 so that you can speed things up. Like, it... Or, like, hell, in Devils and Dice, Boo tells us some of the stats of monsters all the time. And it's just to add to that tension, right? Where, I at least feel more tense when a fucking monster will, or a demon will have a plus, like, 20 to their hit, or plus 20 to their, like, or actually it would be plus 20 to their hit and then like a plus 7 to their damage, I feel a lot less safe. And that's good because I should, right? I'm in a combat. I don't know. So it works for me in those kinds of circumstances. And also, I can compartmentalize some of these things. Now, would I say that you should tell all your players, you know, all those things all the time? No, because potentially it could overwhelm them. But it's more for that kind of reason than it is for them using them as a metagamey thing, which I assume he's going to make the argument for.
Stats. Yeah, I don't share these with your players. I go so far as to not even share the real name of the monster with my players, unless it was obvious. All it does is ruin the mystery of things. There is zero benefit in telling your players after the game session the stats of the monsters they fought.
Why?
Okay, I get that it's satisfying in the moment and during your post-game debrief where everyone is standing around talking about the game session. I get that, I do. But you'd be trading a brief momentary gain for a long-term loss, in my opinion. Instead, allow your players to experience the mystery and suspense of not knowing what the crap that crazy thing they fought was, or everything that it was capable of. Number 5.
Well, you can't just... Come on, man. Why? Is it because they might encounter it again? And then they would know that that's the thing it can do? So it's less of a surprise if that happens? Well, then you should also say that we should never run the same monster twice. Ever. For the same group. Because maybe they'll remember it. Like, is that not the same kind of thing? Where if they literally do multiple campaigns with you, and you use the similar monsters, or at least have similar monsters in similar environments, right? And they encounter that a few times, they will still get to that point of, like, they know what the monster does, they know the stance of it, they basically can figure it out. That's why you, as the DM, change up your monsters to have different stats. They could look similar or look different and have different stats, or use, you know, interesting things and combine different parts of monsters together to make an amalgamation of something interesting and different. That's just kind of on you as the DM to do, right? Is that not...
What you
Also, I don't understand what the fucking, like, what the incredible amount of harm it will do for that one brief moment where they go, oh, that thing could have entirely engulfed me if I hadn't made my saving throw, and I could have been inside of its stomach and then had to, like, and then maybe I could have fought inside of it. And then you go, huh, I wonder. Probably, unless it says that you're restrained. Probably. So, you know, you can then figure out interesting things that you could have happen inside of, like, or what could happen with these interactions of this monster as well. Because, and then they can think of different things that they could have happen with that monster as well. And if they play a different character or the same character, and they encounter the same kind of monster, their character could reasonably have thought of that, and then they could have tried it whilst they fight it. And then just come up with interesting things to happen in that respect. It's not going to completely ruin these fucking monsters and all your fucking encounters if you just say, the wolf has AC 15. Every time it attacks you, it could try to drag you down, and you have to make a DC, I think it's 11 or 12 maybe, strength check. Maybe it's 10, I don't even know, it's a wolf. And it could potentially pull you down if you fail it. If you don't, then it doesn't, right? And then it also has pack tactics, and then, like, if it has an ally, then it gets advantage, right? Like, And then, potentially, what can happen, if you explain these things, you could then inspire somebody. Like, these are all potentials. Sure, you could potentially have somebody get it entirely ruined for the rest of their life, and they can never get it out of their heads, okay? Or you could potentially get them to go, I want to run a game with these kinds of monsters. They sound fun to use. I want to use them in this way. Or maybe I can use them in conjunction with these monsters and see what happens here. Try different combinations of things that happen here. Like, there's so many possibilities. That's just what this game is. You can't just say bad. You can't just say it bad to do this thing every time. It definitely isn't all the time.
Planned versus what you improvised. Dear fellow game masters, guard this information closely. Never reveal it to your players. Don't let them see what the wizard does behind the curtain. It's far better for your players to believe that everything was prepared in advance and that the world is what the world is before they come into contact with it. That cave full of gremlins existed before they decided to walk into that cave. Those gremlins have been there for years working their nasty alchemy business. It was fortuitous that the characters found and stopped them when they did. Let your players believe that. Let them feel proud that they decided to wander into that random cave just in time. If you tell them after the game session that you made it all up on the spot, you are cheapening the game experience for them.
No, you might not be. Come on. When somebody... Okay. I know this is a personal anecdote, a personal feeling that I have about it, but if somebody comes up to me after the game and they've DM'd it and they say, man, I didn't know what to do at that moment, but I thought of this and I really enjoyed it, then I will compliment the hell out of them and say, man, that was great. You did that all off the fucking top of your dome? Hell yeah. You're great at this. Like, not to like trying to inflate egos, but literally to comfort your DMs, because believe it or not, even though DMing is incredibly easy, it can also be very stressful. When I have DM'd, I have felt that pressure. I have felt the need for it to be so good for the players so that they have fun, and that I feel like I don't do it well all the time. But when you get a compliment, right, and then somebody says, wow, that was great, and then you say, I fucking made that all up, then they go, whoa, really? And like, you get that little affirmation. Obviously, I don't let it go to my head, but it does feel nice, and it does make it so that it feels like my work was at least appreciated, and that these people are going to be having fun when they play with me, and they're looking forward to it because I can do something like that. Conversely, it can also, and does also, make me go, I hope I can do that again. Ha 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 ha. You know, like that. But like, legitimately, a lot of the time it can also be inspiring of like, you can plan this stuff out. I have all of this stuff planned. I have this guideline. I use this for my world. But I also, at times, go, fucking, this is a thing that I am doing from, I don't know, let's just do this, okay? And it also just shows players that they can DM very easily, because if they're good at planning, or if they're good at improv or whatever, they can do it however they want, and you can just show them that they can just fucking do it too. We're taking this conversation that we could be having with these players, and we're saying, no, only DM know this stuff. Only DM can know. How do you fucking think people become DMs? They get inspired to. Sometimes from other people, sometimes from the fact that they just want to play it, sometimes just, there's so...
God damn it, it's still not over.
No. This is the last one, though.
I was hoping that, I would tune back in and we'd be finishing up the second video.
No.
But
Um.
what new, fresh misery must I enjoy
Oh. Enjoy.
for you, the
Freudian slip.
people?
For
Yeah.
you, the people. I will begrudgingly agree with basically what he's getting to. I've learned that there's little benefit to telling the players what was improvised. Plus, I'm sure my players can tell when I'm making stuff up. I'd rather know everyone enjoyed the session more than get compliments on my shitty improv. So that's fair enough. That's fine. But
Yeah.
I don't think there isn't a benefit, right? Like, I don't think that what he's saying what he's saying makes it feel like you shouldn't ever, because it will completely fuck everything. He's being weird about it, because again, I've come up with a few reasons why it could be something that's inspiring. I don't like again, and it could inversely also not. But like we don't need to just go like, if I want to, I don't know, say, man, I improvised that shit, just to like get that out there, because I'm like, fuck, dude, I tried. I'm gonna do it, and regardless of if people go really or really, it doesn't matter to me. Okay, but for them, I guess it might matter a little bit. But if it does, I don't know why. I don't get why. I don't get how that can hurt the game. I guess if it's made up on the spot, it's less of the living, breathing world thing, but I don't think so. Because usually if you make something up, it's usually within the parameters of how the world works.
Like,
Usually.
generally, in general, will not tell players if I add them something.
Sure.
Telling players when I ad libbed something has been sort of a bad habit of mine, because like when I'm nervous, I babble. And when I feel like I like got away with it, I'm like, oh, and immediately want to tell people. Which in this case, the people that I want to tell that I just got away with something are the table. So like I will in general like try to avoid telling my players to mixed success. Um yeah, however, like in general, like yeah, you your DMing style may differ. However, as for mine, I prefer like letting my players think I planned everything out. When in fact I planned out probably 10 to 25%. And the way that I prepare is like I delve deep into making the world. So that way, whatever happens, I know what would make sense within the context of the world.
Right.
So like the actual campaign prep I do is fairly minimal because I already know kind of everything that's going on. What's up, BRB?
Okay. he's gonna miss the very end.
Everything they did to stop those gremlins now loses its flavor and excitement because they know that if they hadn't walked into that cave, nothing would have happened because those gremlins didn't really exist. They didn't really exist. Again, this has to do in part with player agency and their choices mattering, but it also has to do with suspension of disbelief. You want your players to believe that the world is what the world is and that there isn't a wizard behind the curtain creating everything. When you tell them that you improvised anything on the spot, you shatter that suspension of disbelief.
I mean, I guess, yeah, in a way, but I think overall it's fine. If you, like, I don't know, I feel like I could explain why I made something the way it was and how it fits in if it really becomes a problem. But if it's, I don't see how it can be that much of a problem, right? I already, like, when I do open world stuff, I go based off of what the characters want in general, what they will do. So really, I am doing a lot of improv anyway, because I don't know what they're going to want to do, you know? So if they... Until they figure out, like, exactly what they want to do, or if they give me kind of a roadmap of how it's going to go, and I have to figure out where they're going, and what they're going to encounter along the way, like, it is just kind of improv the whole time. I think it's less to do with the world in that instance and more to do with how you tell the story. As long as the story makes sense in the world, it should continue to be that world for them. I'm back to disagreeing with him, or at least his conclusion. Fair enough. Man, I don't know, okay? Let's get to these exceptions. I'm so excited.
Exceptions to these rules. I rarely break these do not share rules, but when I do, it's almost always for the sake of maintaining the peace, so to speak. And what I mean by this is that if a disagreement arises at the game table and revealing something behind the screen is the best way to resolve it, I will do so. For instance, if my players are upset that a flying monster is coming close, attacking, and then flying away, but that they don't get an opportunity attack, I might say something like this: some monsters have abilities that get around opportunity attacks. Or I might just straight up say that it has the flyby attack feature. And honestly, this is probably the only exception I make to rolling back the Dungeon Master screen. If it's not to maintain the peace, I simply avoid sharing out of character information with my players.
Well, so let's be fair here. Who are you playing with? Because, like, if something like that comes up and it actually makes somebody upset, you literally just... Man, this is how this works right now. Like, unless they are going by what a monster is that they think it is, then you can just go, well, man, that's not what's happening right now. You just kind of got to deal with what's happening right now, you know? Because, like, it shouldn't make anybody upset. Especially if you frame it differently. At least for me. I can think of, if this is happening, right? And my players are, like, in this battle. And then you go, and the monster swoops in, takes an attack at you, and swoops back out. And they go, ooh, opportunity attack! And then I look at them. And I make my devilish grin, and I say, no, you don't. Then they go, what? And then I say, unfortunately, as you go to try, the monster is already out of your way, out of the range of your sword. It seems too quick for you to be able to. Right? You don't, like, it's not revealing, like, exactly what it is. Not even saying that some monsters can do it. It's just saying that in this instance, that is what is happening. Right? Is that revealing anything from behind the curtain? No. You're literally telling them what's happening. So, if you really want to maintain this, like, need to keep everything secret, then come on, just, you can do it still. There's a disagreement after that point. I don't know, man. That's weird. Who have you been playing with, you know?
Click on the screen now to binge another fine DM Layer video, or to become a DM Layer patron, get Layer magazine, and play D&D with me as your Dungeon Master. And until next time, long live cheesy nachos!
That was so funny. That was so funny. Cheesy nachos. Man, every time. Every time. I thought I would agree with him more. I only agreed with the 1 point. That's really it. Oh well. So, whilst we wait for Aiden to come back, we will go to the shouting out and the shilling talk, as this is the midpoint of the show. Even with my removal for those 20 minutes, it's still been like an hour and a half. So, we have a Patreon. Whoa, I know. Isn't that crazy? I know. It is. It is indeed. We have a Patreon, and you can join our Patreon if you would like. You don't have to. It's just a thing that is there that can also help support us. Again, you can support us in other ways. The free ways of just watching the show, liking the video, commenting and all that. Haha, I snuck it in there. I hate it. But you can also support us monetarily. That is a thing. All of the proceeds go into the show, of getting new things for the show and everything like that. So, that being said, a special thank you to all of our patrons, specifically Draco Kraken at tier 4. Thank you. Mog Zero at tier 4. Thank you as well. I have to burp. I'm sorry. Excuse me. Oh, goodness. Okay. Rick, a.k.a. Unit Rico, at tier 4. Thank you. Slazer, at tier 4. Thank you as well. Steely, at tier 4. Thank you so much. Drake Cross, at tier 3. Thank you. Chris, at tier 2. Thank you. Frozen Spaghetti, at tier 2. Thank you. Kill Chrono at tier 2. Thank you. Lux, the Oracle, at tier 2. Thank you. And of course, our tier 1 contributor. Thank you as well. If you go on our page, you'll see all of the things that you get as your benefits, which is mostly just the being shouted out if you're above tier 1, and if you specifically shouted out your name. And there's also the one video that Aiden and I did on Dracula Untold, watching the full movie and making our full commentary on it. That is a Patreon exclusive. If you haven't found that, go for it. Used to be able to put these things out on the Patreon before they went. Hello from tier 1. Hello. Used to be able to put the things up on the Patreon before they went up for everyone, but it kind of fucked with how the scheduling of these things worked. So I haven't been able to do that as of recently. But I'm trying to figure out still of like proper Patreon rewards, other than the dice that you guys will be getting that were at the tier 2 and up, which will be coming in September, hopefully. That was the last I heard, so get excited for that. Yeah, I'm thinking about putting literally all of the episodes in their audio form, just all up there for you to download and just keep if you would like. Potentially. And I don't know, man. Having a thing to do that is hard. I don't know what to give people, right? Because we don't have time to do like a private show for those people. That sounds weird. You know what I mean. Anyway, I'm gonna stop. So the other way is hello.
And I have food which should hopefully quell my rage.
Okay. Well,
also booze up.
I see that. His internet is dead.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, you can also support us through TeePublic. You can go on there and get our logo on everything that they have available, as well as supporting us through Humble Bundle, which has a Capcom bundle as their star thing right now, because we are a Humble partner. There's a link in the description that supports us and TableTalk Alliance, which has a link in the description as well for you to learn more information about how they use their charity with all their tabletop games to help community. I didn't even realize this was the bundle. I'm gonna get this bundle today. Full Resident Evil bundle? Fuck yeah. As well as, I'm pretty sure, there's a tactical combat bundle as well. Nice. There is, if I remember correctly here, is it this one? Amazing Adventures? Let's see. Oh, Agatha Christie. Hercule Poirot. Oh, these are games. Oh. Yeah, I have some of these. Oh, cool. I thought there was, unless it's gone now, I thought there was a bundle that was a TTRPG bundle, but it might be gone now, unfortunately. So, regardless, they usually do have a TTRPG bundle. Oh, here we go. The Maps Spectacular bundle has a bunch of interesting maps that you can get. So all that for $30 for all these maps. That is something that might interest you. But otherwise, go check them out. They're a great site. Buy stuff through them, through a link. You support us, you support charity, and you get some good shit. Always. Yeah.
Help us help you help other people.
That's right. Exactly.
Even if you support us on TeePublic, like, you're getting some sweet merch.
True.
We're getting a bit of money.
True.
You're helping us help you.
That's right. Help us help you help others and you.
People.
So, for the people.
For the people.
All right. Let's move on.
Fuck.
To the second video.
Can't wait for my dinner to be ruined.
Perhaps Boo will join us in the middle. This is...
Let's talk about
loud. This is... these 20 Dungeon Master mistakes ruin D&D games. Exciting. Spectacular.
Seems a little clickbaity, but
seems
okay.
Pretty clickbaity. There's 20 things you do that could fuck your game.
These 20 mistakes ruined D&D games. Number 8 made me slap my mother.
And that ruined my D&D game. Coincidentally, that was number 7. All right.
Let's talk about 20 ways Dungeon Masters ruin their D&D games so that you can avoid these same mistakes. Number 1, taking away player agency.
Okay,
the most
sure.
extreme example I've seen of a DM taking away player agency was at a convention a few years back. The Dungeon Master literally took control of some of our characters and made them do certain things. Let me tell you, the look of unease and even anger on those players' faces was unmistakable. But denying player agency is usually more subtle. It happens when the player's decisions and actions in the game don't affect outcomes. It happens when the Dungeon Master has already rather decided what's going to happen in the game, usually in servitude to the beloved story that they're trying to tell.
Fucking slam dunk.
I totally agree.
There you go. All right, off to a good start. Please I pray that you continue this path, friend.
Yeah, he has 19 more chances.
This, man, if it's as easy as that, this is an easy video, okay? This is just fucking easy. Let's do it.
That was a video that we spent 47 seconds on. Like, unpaused.
Exactly.
Just listening.
Exactly.
This is how I like my videos.
I like going,
Yes.
Number 2, running too many games. We all like D&D.
Oh.
Yes, we all like D&D. But a Dungeon Master who gets all jazzed up and decides to run 10 games is probably going to run 10 games rather poorly. If you want to run good games and not get burned out, you need to have limits. You may be excited now, but you might not be that excited when you realize exactly what you committed to.
Yeah. Easy.
I will say I've felt that myself, and
Yes.
I'm a player in like all of the games but one.
Yeah, like as a player and as a DM, I feel this because fuck me. Sometimes you get like, yeah, I really want to play. Yeah, I would love to play. Yeah, I'd love to play. Yeah, I'd love to play. And then you get to that point where you just dread every day because you have things to do. And it's like, man, I just need a day. I need a day or 5, please.
Yes, it's like I need like 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly. I like as much as I like hanging out with people and playing games, but I sometimes I just want to play a board game, you know? Just want to play a board game. What if I already don't have a life? Well, you're gonna get one from this. Doing too many no. I don't have a good joke. Anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have nothing to volleyball that off of.
Yeah, sorry.
But he's 2 for 10.
Yeah,
So, sorry, he's 2 for 20.
Right,
That becomes 1 out of 10.
Yes, we're at a 10%. Very good. I'm happy.
No one can take that 10% away from him.
That is true.
Number 3, favoritism.
Hey guys, my girlfriend is going to play with us.
Okay, sure, no problem.
Oh, by the way, she gets better magic items than you all do too.
Yeah, that's not sounding like.
And I sort of have to give her invulnerability because of her. If her character dies, she's gonna be angry with me. It's cool though, and it kind of makes sense because her character is 10 levels higher than your all.
I know I'm picking on girlfriends here, but it could be best friends or just players the DM likes more than others. The bottom line is that when you show favoritism, your other players will notice, and they probably won't be happy. And if it keeps up, they might not be your players for long. Number 4.
Yeah, I mean, favoritism is shit. it always sucks because then you just everybody doesn't matter how nice they are. They will talk behind their back with the rest of the party, the table, and they will go, man, I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. They just need to stop. It doesn't matter how nice they are, how good friends you are. They will loathe you.
I want to have a contention of the no matter how nice they are part you said. Partly because I know it was like meant to be a little like hyperbole, but also kind of not.
Also kind of not, yeah.
And I am thinking of literally the nicest person I know. Like I've not known him for the most time, but gosh golly gee, he is the most wholesome person I have ever met in my life.
Nice.
He's borderline a cryptid. And he's also a huge D&D nerd, and I've heard him be like, yeah, that's that's not very ideal, but like it's whatever. We still have fun, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Like tries to back it up with something nice, but I can feel it in his soul.
Yeah.
And you'll be like he's too nice to be like, I fucking hate it. But like I can feel it in his soul.
Yeah. Oh, it'll wear away at him. It'll do it.
Oh yeah. It'll drag him down here with the rest of us.
That's right. Everybody comes down here eventually.
We all float down here.
I've had 5 games running at once. Only 1 was weekly, but I've met my limit before. Well, there you go. If 5 games don't do it for you, then great. I'm glad for you. Holy fuck, I want to die. Favoritism is solved with self-awareness and open communication at the table, but yeah. Obviously we're memeing, but like, absolutely, like 100%. It's the easiest thing in the world to solve. Most everything is, if you communicate, you're fine. And I'm already at this point, he's saying anti-favoritism. I think that's what this is. In which I go, what? But also, yeah, sure.
anti-favoritism, similar to favoritism, but when the Dungeon Master causes all bad in the game to fall upon one player's character. Their Ranger PC gets a nerf, but the Paladin who grants +6 to all saving throws, that's fine, that's cool. Oh, and don't forget to have a dragon swoop out of the sky and take away their magic bow while you're at it. By the way, my next Kickstarter, Layers and Legends, is launching soon. It will consist of two beautiful hardcover books. The first book, Layers and Legends, will contain an anthology of 5e adventures for levels 1 to 15 and over 100 new
anti-favoritism so much as overt hatred.
Yeah.
But yeah, your players will pick up on that fucking immediately.
Yeah, it's one of those things that it's very hard to hide that you hate this person.
Fuck, dude. Like, if you nat 20 against a player character and then, like, no one else gets nat 20'd upon, and then 3 sessions later they get nat 20'd again, they will still notice.
Exactly.
New terrifying monsters. The second book, Loot and Lore, will compile a massive stash of new Game Master resources to use in your games. Traps, puzzles, NPCs, villains, standalone encounters, random tables, and more. Everything will be 100% 5th edition compatible and is designed to be dragged and dropped into an existing campaign. And if you missed out on our first Kickstarter, Into the Fae, you'll also be able to get a hardcover of Into the Fae as an add-on. Click the link below to follow the Layers and Legends Kickstarter and get notified when it goes live.
I don't know if this is probably way after that has happened, but those look like cool books. Go look at them if you want.
As much as I have fun with shitting on Damn Lair, that actually seems like a really cool Kickstarter.
Yeah, absolutely. I would never, say no to people checking out a thing that a creator has made.
Yeah, no, like if you think that would be like relevant to your campaign, and I say this to anyone in the audience, definitely check that out.
100%.
The Loot and Lore, I will admit, like, I'm kind of looking at that, and he's like, yeah, it's meant to be 5e compatible, and I'm like, I could take that or tweak things in it.
Yeah. So if the Kickstarter link leads you somewhere that you can buy it, the link to the video is in the description as usual.
Yeah,
so
definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Number 5, not preparing for the game. Now, some Dungeon Masters are just lazy, admit to it, and will wing everything. Other Dungeon Masters will simply claim they're running an open world sandbox game, so preparation is rather useless.
Okay, well.
All right. First off, fuck you. All right.
Come on,
First off, and secondly, fuck you.
Come on, man. What are we doing again? Why are we poking the fucking... Why? Just... I do whatever prep I need, okay?
Finally, there are the Dungeon Masters who hide behind the mantra of preparation being worthless because players will just do something else anyway. Fact.
That's fucking crazy.
Running a good sandbox game involves more preparation than running a non-sandbox game.
You cannot tell me that designing my entire world required less prep.
No.
Than just preparing a campaign.
I agree that that more preparation is better for if you want to have a whole world. My only thing is I want this to be clear in the sense of, are we talking about before we run a session, or are we talking about in general, right? Because if we're talking about in general, I agree 100%. If we're talking about before we run a session, especially for like what you're saying, you don't need to prep as much because you have so much already prepped, right? Where you don't need to prep overly, right? That's my only thing. I'm not disagreeing at all. I'm just saying, it can is also a good thing to put in there. Can require more prep. It's helpful to prepare more than not, I suppose, is a way that I would put it. But there's always I don't think every good sandbox might not always have more prep. Like, we can't just make the definitive claim, because I don't think we can substantiate that. We can say that more often than not, sure. But yeah. We're just getting to the nitty-gritty at that point.
Fact. The more you prepare, the better game you will run, even if your players dodge your plot hook and
Potentially.
Yeah.
Depends on what you prepare. But again, we have a potentially
head off somewhere else. Fact. Even if you're a veteran dungeon master and can run games with little to no prep, your game will be better if you prepare a bit more. I mean,
potentially.
Yeah.
Now, see, these again, this depends on the person, depends on the DM. Like, if they prepare, like, it could be that somebody prepares a lot and it makes it worse. It very well could, because they get overwhelmed.
There's a lot of DMs out there, and each one has their own DMing style.
Exactly.
Which
you've already made fun of, so.
I am not a fan of making definitive statements about, like, oh, this will cause this.
Yes.
Not you can say it'll be evidence. Likely to.
Yeah.
And even in a statement where you provided proof of, like, oh, this is likely to lead to better sessions.
Again, it's likely, though.
The most compelling evidence that you can appeal to is still anecdotal.
Yes. There's no way to definitively prove this. So you can call it a fact all you want, but if we're saying fact is what I believe, that's not what a fact is.
Like, I will happily agree that, yes, being prepared for sessions does tend to make better sessions.
Exactly.
It can allow a DM to have, like, smoother scene transitions because they know what's coming up, and you have less that, like, invariably you're going to forget to prep a few things. So it allows your brain to prepare those while you read up on your notes.
Yep.
Instead of having to ad-lib the whole thing.
Yes.
And yeah, like, it can also lend itself to keeping notes about your world. Like, if you ad-lib something, then after that scene is over and that NPC is gone, they just kind of fade into the ether, unless if you record yourself. But if you don't record yourself, like me, it can be very helpful that I can, like, walk across the room and find out that the centaur responsible for owning the whiskey barrel plus beds was a man by the name of Noda.
There you go.
Like,
yeah,
and
it's just overall, again, we're making absolutes where we shouldn't be making absolutes. We never should be in this hobby, right? Like,
the only absolutists don't make absolutes.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's the contradiction there, but it is what it is at that point. So we just have to make sure that everybody's fine.
Ultimately, still though, while I agree with his point as a whole, I just think it was worded poorly.
Yeah, exactly.
I would still consider this a minor contention.
Yeah, exactly. Hello, Boo.
Hello. And this is our third host, Boo.
That's right. Yep. I'll have to catch the VOD. It's bedtime for me, boys. Good luck with the rest of the DM layer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Con. See ya.
See ya.
Yeah, we're in 20 mistakes that DMs can make that will ruin a game.
Oh, Ruin.
Yes,
okay.
and so far it's fine.
Thus far, we are 3 minutes and 44 seconds in, and only minor contentions.
One minor
Okay.
contention, really, and that's it. So
That's impressive, because I
Yeah.
saw, I was looking on my phone, and I was just, while I was waiting for my internet to come back,
Yeah.
I was just thumbing through my videos, and of course, this showed up in the recommendeds,
Right,
and
yeah.
I saw whose fucking video this is, and I'm like, oh boy.
you were ready for a time. Yeah, no, I'm pleasantly surprised so far.
That's good.
So we'll see if it continues.
First video made
first
me
video was
feel
not.
like I described it to Alejo as I felt like I was an MMO like world boss.
Yes.
Okay.
And like a guild of players showed up and beat my ass.
In a good way or a bad way? Like,
Oh,
the video
bad
was
way.
good? Oh, okay.
Quite bad.
Oh, very bad way. They took my loot and then started emoting.
Oh, jeez.
And one of them had the floss emote. Like it wasn't. It was certainly a time.
Yeah. So does that mean that the video was good or bad?
Yes.
Okay.
After 10,000 years, I'm free. Time to conquer Earth. Well, welcome back, Lux. All right. Let's see how we continue.
Pretty sure those are all facts. Those are at least very strong opinions I hold. Number 6.
Oh, okay. Well, then just
you know what? He takes it back into being a bit.
I guess so. Yeah. All right.
He takes it back into being a bit.
I guess so. I just put it as a, I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Ignoring player feedback. Now,
Yes.
sure, not every piece of feedback your players give you is gold. When the Power Gamer says that you should give them more magic items or allow them to build gestalt characters, that's when PCs level up in 2 classes at the same time. You might not want to listen to them. However, the Dungeon Master who ignores player feedback completely and doesn't make any adjustments to continually improve or course correct their game is potentially marching their game right off the cliff. Number 7.
Yes, 100%. There you go. Potentially. Absolutely.
That being said, sometimes getting player feedback is like the most like tooth-pulling process.
Yeah, we've talked about that a few times now. Sometimes you just don't get it. Because they go, that's fine.
And you go, hey guys, you have any feedback on the session? And they go, yeah, it was fun. And I'm like, that's not feedback.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how you felt.
Help me help you, the people.
The people.
7. The DM versus
Being like, the people has like been living in my head for the entirety of today, and I don't know why, but it can stay.
That's fair. DM versus player already, yes, that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
player mentality. Dear Dungeon Master, your goal is not to win. In fact, winning the game in the traditional sense is absolutely meaningless in Dungeons & Dragons. The bottom line is that your monsters are almost always going to lose. The game is designed that way. Instead, your goal should be to run a game where everyone, including you, has the opportunity to have fun. And the mentality you should adopt is to run a challenging game where you are role-playing the bad guys to win, but you are also secretly rooting for the players' characters to win, and you want them to win.
It isn't a secret, my man. I want him to go. I want him to beat it, because it'll be sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although apparently there are still people that think that way, which is insane to me.
I know. It's weird.
It's like in my combats where like something's at like 2 or 3 hit points left. Like there is one wolf left and it's at like 3 HP and like cut off from the rest of the pack. And like I'll literally just look at whoever's turn it is on initiative and be like, kill it, please.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, just to get it out of my hair, please.
And also, it's a completely unrelated example, but just in case, you know, you might be fighting a group of wasp people,
Oh.
and the DM wound up getting in over their head and having way too many things to control, and then just got fucking sick of it halfway through. And then they're like, they're offered the fucking olive branch of, do you want to surrender? And then the DM has to weigh the option of, God, do I want to surrender? Yes, I do. I didn't have to think very long. I mean, they didn't have to think very long.
Yeah, exactly.
So that can happen. Completely unrelated, obviously.
Yeah. Never would have happened.
Yeah, no. I'm a good DM.
It's this friend of yours is
Though sometimes they don't. Number 8, having a DM PC or NPC that outshines the player's own character.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was hoping it would be more than just having a DMPC or NPC. Good.
Yeah, I heard
I had
it
a
say
twinge.
having a DMPC, and
Yep.
I like
My heart dropped for a moment.
Yeah, like I felt my core tighten, and I'm like, oh no.
Now,
But
now, bonus points if he says having a DMPC in the party or having an NPC in the party who's important is fine. Bonus points.
I would like to say that those bonus points take the form of he can make 1 point that's utterly garbage, but because he says that DMPCs can be fine, so long as they don't like outshine or anything. I will have those bonus points like essentially like be a grace over that bad point.
Sure, if it's not egregious. Absolutely, I'm fine with this.
Your players' characters should be in the limelight. They are the heroes of the campaign, not your DMPC or NPC. I don't care how jazzed up you are for your precious NPC or DMPC that you spent hours developing. They should not carry the party and consistently rescue them from certain doom. They should not get all the cool magic items. They should not constantly be in the spotlight. Do this
Oh my God, could you
at your
even
own
imagine
peril.
that?
Number 9.
Yeah.
Could you imagine like a DM playing D&D and then it's like, oh man, you guys find treasure, and like,
My God,
it's like,
it's
oh cool, what's all the magic items? It's like, it's fighter class exclusive shit, so it's all for me.
Right. Yeah.
That would be really like, if
can-
it wasn't awful, it would be really funny.
Yeah, I can only see like a child doing that, right? Like
Yeah.
At that point, I could only give a scowl and like a golf clap and be like, "You fucker."
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
yeah, true. If it was done in that way.
This is a story I will be telling for years.
Indeed.
Exactly.
And not because it's good.
So he didn't outright say it. He just kind of implied it a bit. So I'm not gonna give him the points, but he doesn't seem opposed, at least in this video.
Yeah, and like we'll do the thing where like it's sort of like an honorary degree.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But like the thought was there.
Yeah, exactly.
You seem like you're in a very forgiving mood tonight, Aiden.
Dude, compared to how
The first
shit his
video?
first video
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
This is
Um,
gold.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like legitimately.
Okay then.
Prioritizing DM fun over player fun.
Sure,
This
yes.
is the
Yeah.
Dungeon Master who plays the game they want to play, and they ignore player preferences and desires. Now, the DM still owns certain game elements, such as plot arc.
Very minor contention.
Okay.
But you could also just say that this is a subset over not listening to player feedback.
Yeah.
Because the point of player feedback is to help make the game more fun for ostensibly the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would actually say it's also a subset of the DM versus player mentality. Prioritizing your
Maybe.
fun over their fun.
Yeah, it's
Maybe,
definitely it's a subset, yes. It's a subspecies.
Indeed.
Pink Game Master.
That's right.
So again, while I do not disagree with the point, the most minor of contentions.
Yes, exactly. It's not a bad point to make as a specific, but it does seem like it would be covered under something else.
Yeah. And it's something where I can understand DM Lair like wanting to sort of cover his ass and be like, I should probably say this again for the people in the back.
Yeah, exactly. This is for the people in the back who really need that hammered in.
Yeah.
Because they do exist.
And villains and how the world reacts to character actions. I'm not suggesting Dungeon Masters should bow down in subservience to their players and ignore their own desires or deny ownership of the DM role.
Okay, you know what? I was fully prepared when I heard him make the point of like, oh, a mistake DM can make is prioritizing DM fun over player fun. And is sitting in the back of my mind of like, well, it's just as bad a mistake to prioritize player fun over DM fun.
Yeah.
Because ignoring DM fun leads to burnout.
Yes, true.
Because it makes sessions essentially a chore.
Yes.
And the fact that he has touched upon it is appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, Dungeon Masters should consider their players' preferences when they design game elements. I should know what my players like and don't like, and then allow that to inform how I run my game. It doesn't rule how I run my game, but it does inform it. Number 10, using
I really like the use of...
Really good way to put it.
Yes, exactly. That is a perfect way to put it. Doesn't rule it, it informs it. Informing it is so much of a better word than I thought that was going to be used, honestly.
In general, whenever I am making a campaign for people that I am like unfamiliar with, I always make a point to ask them in session 0, like, what are things that you do like and what are things you don't like? Do you like have any triggers you want me to like avoid?
Sure, yeah.
I won't ask you to like justify them for me. Just tell me like, hey, I don't like spiders or something, and I'll be like, cool, like that Ettercap boss is now gone. So like, know what your players like and don't like, and yeah, definitely like try to find a way to sort of.
Hold on. I don't know why this wasn't correct. There we go. Say something?
Who?
Okay, you're good. Never mind.
Okay.
I had to fix Discord and it wasn't going through the right channel the whole time and I didn't notice until now. But it's fine. Nothing has been like overpowering or peaking or anything, so it's good.
Okay.
Anyway, I might have missed that little bit at the end, Aiden, if you want to just repeat that little bit at the end.
I have no idea what I was saying. Oh, yes. Okay. So in general, try to ask people what their likes and dislikes are. If they have any triggers I should avoid, like, like, do you not like spiders? Okay, cool. That Ettercap boss is now gone.
Right. Yes.
I try to go out of my way, and I advocate that every DM or potential DM out there should do the same. Try to go out of dog hush.
I heard it.
That was my neighbor's dog. Try to learn your players' likes and dislikes. And then the first like week or two while you're like writing your session, you are going to be trying to consolidate what your players are what your players are or are not comfortable with.
Yes, agreed.
Homebrew rules that no one likes.
This is just one of those things that's like weird to me to just say, because like it's basically just don't do things that people don't like.
Yeah.
Right? where I'm like, it's not just homebrew, it's just in general, like, just don't do things that everyone does not like your table doesn't like.
If a DM is running a homebrew rule no one likes but them, then I would consider this prioritizing DM fun over player fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, Some of us signed up to play D&D 5th edition or 3.5 or 2nd edition or whatever, and we rather don't like all your homebrew rules. And we kind of also don't like that you're using us as guinea pigs for a whole slew of new rules you dreamed up, and every game session you're changing those rules. It's not that DMs should never use homebrew rules. I have some homebrew rules that I use. The issue lies in having too many, having rules players don't like, and perhaps, first and foremost, creating said homebrew rules before you even know and understand the core rules at all. This is like having no idea how an internal combustion engine works, but pulling it apart anyway and making your own modifications. You're gonna break something and people might not be happy. By the way, if you're enjoying this video or just like bacon, please.
I would advocate that you as the DM can still be within your rights to use the players as guinea pigs if, big if you say, hey guys, so I was doing some thinking and I don't like, for example, I'll use an example I had with my players. I don't like that in 5e, when you go down to 0 hit points, like you're dying, and then someone can healing word you, and then you're back up to 3 hit points with no negative consequences.
Yeah.
And it allows the barbarian to essentially face tank a lich. And I'm just kind of generally not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Would you guys mind if when I was reading through Pathfinder 2e the other week, I noticed that they have a thing called the dying condition.
Exactly.
And that's when you go down to negative hit points and then get revived, you're now like dying 1, and that will go up. And if you ever hit like dying 4, you cannot be revived. Like you are dead.
Yeah.
What would you guys think about potentially lifting that rule from PF2E and bringing it into the 5e game, just to see how it plays, see how people like it? If generally people don't like it, we can go back to how it was before.
Yeah, the important thing here is that you communicated exactly what it is that it does, what you want of it, what the people can do if they oppose it, and what, they can expect. Or that's what they can do, what it can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just that simple thing of talking to your players about something. Crazy that. I hope he says something about communication at this, or session 0 even. I would hope so. So we'll see.
If he says that DM mistake is not communicating, I will count that one for 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It'll be good. This is the moment where he says the like and subscribe thing, which I am like, cool, good. We're like halfway in, and I'm actually like paying attention to your video and interested. So good.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Please give me a thumbs up and let YouTube know down in the comments that I don't suck. In fact, while you're at it, perhaps tell us about the worst homebrew rule you've ever seen in a game. A homebrew rule that's so bad, not even Bacon could fix it. Does that exist? I'm pretty sure Bacon can fix anything. It's kind of like duct tape, right? Number 11, railroading. Of course, this has to be on the list. Everyone hates a railroad, don't we? Though I must point out, a railroad is not the same thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, oh, not the same thing.
Is a linear adventure. Let's be very clear here. A railroad is when a dungeon master has a predefined story in mind that must needs be played out by their players' characters. For instance, let's say the dungeon master just watched season 2 of Critical Role and decided to run that exact same campaign at their table. But not just that, they also decide that the story that unfolds at their game table should mimic what happened during Critical Role's game, and they take steps to ensure that it does. Railroading is often accompanied by, and is probably a flavor of, stealing player agency. To dungeon masters who are considering running a railroad, I have this plea. Just go write a book instead. By the way, I do have an entire video on my channel devoted to explaining the difference between a sandbox game, a linear game, and a railroad. I'll put a link somewhere around here to that video. Number 12.
So, I agree with him because he gave the definition. He's defined exactly what he means by railroading, and I agree that you shouldn't do it that way.
Yes.
Easy enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically propose house rules instead of imposing them. Yes. Propose house rules. Yeah.
I am shocked that we are at 55%.
Yeah, I know. It's going well, and I'm happy about it. We've only had minor things to say, unfortunately, but it's still good to even say that this is probably one of the best ones we've watched from his channel.
Yeah, very minor contentions, nothing worth docking points over.
Yeah.
12. Content that makes players feel uncomfortable. Look,
Sure.
living out your private fantasies at the game table might not be a good idea. A weird furry convention? Probably not gonna go over too well. Including graphic rape.
Unless you're all furries. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
unless you're all
Scenes that
furries,
players
or you
are into-
love the Flash Gets Furry Crusade videos.
Right, exactly.
Love that shit.
So
Dude, I've been meaning to get like the shirt of like the Black Templar like
Yep.
looking back towards the character saying, "Avenge me, brother."
That's a shirt. Nice.
That is a shirt.
I didn't know
and
it was a shirt. That's
I
great.
kind of want to get it.
Oh, you should. You really
Yeah,
should.
absolutely.
That's great.
Intended to roleplay out, there are probably some things that just shouldn't be in the game. And if you're uncertain where the line lies, you should talk to your players and establish those boundaries. No,
Woo! Already a point
He
for
said the
communication.
thing. He said the line.
He said the line.
Yeah. And now the fact that I said earlier that before the campaign begins, I like to talk to all of my players individually and say like that, like just write a message on Discord, shoot it out to everyone, and like say, hey, what should I avoid in this game?
13. Not removing problem players. Problem players kill games. They suck the life out of your group. They obliterate fun. You might not like it, but you're the dungeon master and your players look to you as a leader. That means it falls on you to act when a problem player needs to be removed from the
I'm sorry. Garibay has taught me that they look to me as a god. So
yeah,
I really,
damn right.
I really don't. I don't appreciate you demeaning me to that standpoint of just a leader.
All right. Like you've only been like DMing since high school, so maybe you're only a leader.
Exactly.
But
But Garibay has been doing it since he was
12.
fucking 12. Yeah.
Maybe in another like 13 or 14 years, you can you will reach where Garibay was now.
Exactly.
And your players will see that you were a god.
game. It doesn't mean you need to do it alone, but you need to initiate things, get the ball moving. If you neglect this responsibility, you are doing your good players a disservice, and you may find them slowly leaving the game due to your problem player. The last thing you want is for all of your good players to leave and to be left with the bad player. Number 4.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if you get to the point where talking to somebody isn't enough and they just keep acting up and they keep being a dickhead, then yeah, at that point, I think everybody's going to agree that you're probably not going to play with that person anymore.
Yeah.
And so you can take those steps. Especially when you're in a group of friends. I don't know. I also like to define a difference between railroad and linear. Yeah, that honestly having those two as definitions that you have differently are good to have.
14. Using real-life coercion. Apparently this is a thing.
Jesus
The
Christ.
dungeon master doesn't have a girlfriend, so he uses his dungeon master powers to force the girl to go out with him. The dungeon
Okay, this is just under that uncomfortable thing.
Yeah.
But also, I've seen Crit Crab videos.
Yeah,
They
Crit Crab
exist.
and RPG
and I've also
horror
seen,
stories.
there's many things that use it because it's out there. It's weird that it's out there, but it is a thing and it sucks.
Yep.
master is short on cash, so she makes her players pay her in order to level up their characters. I mean, I'm gonna be
Oh my
honest here,
god.
like,
What a scam.
Wait,
What a fucking
what
grift.
It's a
what
great
what
idea.
what point was this?
This was don't use real life coercion for your games.
Man, that sounds like a great idea. How
Right,
much would
yeah.
you guys pay? Let me level you up.
I'll give you a quarter.
Can I instead pay you to D-level someone?
Ooh.
Oh man.
I don't want to get ahead. I just want to fuck over other people.
Okay. So now here's the thing: you can't de-level the final boss.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. So how much?
I'm not looking to D-level enemies. I just want to like D-level like mezzanine.
Okay. How much?
I would say $15 per level.
And
Holy shit.
Alejo, how much would you pay to keep your level?
Well, I guess I have to pay more than $15, don't I?
And then if he pays 16, well then to let Aiden the going
Hey,
rate.
we should start doing that bidding war.
Changed.
It's a bidding war to stay alive. Oh, you got hit by the big wasp man, and you're dying. You know, you're bleeding out.
Bleeding.
How much does a 20 cost?
yeah, just
How much is a 20 worth to you?
looks at DM slyly, shifts the 20 under the table.
Don't make Devils and Dice a fucking gotcha game.
Fuck yeah, dude. Jesus Christ. That would be hysterical.
And pay 50 cents per hit point for you to remove hit points.
Mm.
You know,
There's a giant rat in the road.
We can work
Your
something
sword does nothing. Use your credit card instead.
I mean, you know, you're dying on the foot, but I mean, only a tenner could save you.
That's real demon shit or devil shit.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my god, that'd be amazing.
Your weapon does the exact same amount of damage as the 3 wacky numbers on the back of your credit card. How much damage does it do?
I love that.
Oh my god,
it's
it's so good.
Doing this never occurred to me. But don't do that. Don't do that. It's very bad. Number 15, allowing PvP. I've said it before.
Okay, wait.
I'll say it again. It may sound like fun, may sound like a good idea, but it takes a really good gaming group full of really mature players for PvP to go smoothly. Whether we're talking about the rogues stealing treasure from the other players,
Oh, that's
straight up
PvP.
characters fighting characters, PvP has a very high likelihood of getting players pissed off at each other. I also contend that one of the
You know, I actually think I agree that this should be reserved for if you have a mature enough table.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, I've seen this actually happen where people just get upset. So, you know what? Fair enough. For a moment, I was like, but the more I think about it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay. You just gotta know how your table is gonna act, and you gotta figure out, you know, if it's okay for your table or not.
So, I actually have a question I'd like to bring forth to you two.
I would love to answer your question.
What about tournament arcs where you
that's fine.
specifically are like, yeah, you guys can fight each other, like there's no risk of you guys' characters
So that's
dying, but
different.
if you want to go for it, yeah, hell yeah, duke it out.
That's different than what he's proposing. What he's proposing is not regulated. It is just a part of, like, basically the thief just decides to steal shit, and then they get mad at him and they start fighting him, right? And then they kill him because they don't like that. It gets to the point of it kind of getting out of hand. Whereas with what you're proposing, it is a self-contained thing that is part of the story, and you're kind of doing it for a goal that isn't just malicious, right? It is just there as a thing. That's fine. That's something that you can regulate, and something that can be really fun for anybody, I think, considering that they won't die due to it.
It's what my character would do, only like goes so far when the rogue is sitting there on his ass on the ground and the barbarian is standing above him with a great axe like hauled over his head, ready to cleave it downward, and the barbarian goes, "This is what my character would do."
Exactly. Right? Exactly.
biggest strengths of D&D and similar tabletop RPGs is that they are cooperative and they do not involve player versus player. So when we introduce PvP into the game, we're ruining that specific appeal of the game. Number 16, not involving all players in the game. This happens when you have 5 players, but 2 of them hog all of the spotlight. They are constantly talking and doing.
This depends on the types of players that you have. Some people actually don't mind this. Some people don't have too much to say in certain instances. Some, like, it really varies. So this one you have to be careful about.
Yeah.
But as long as you're like making sure to prod them every now and again and go, would you like to do anything in this situation? You're giving them the option. That's really all you can do at that point, though.
And like, for example, in another campaign I'm in, we split the party all the fucking time.
Oh yeah,
like,
yeah.
The party is almost never like all in one place at one time, unless if they're doing something like specific, like dungeon delving or something.
Right.
Like, if we are in town, there are like 4 members of the party, and we will split 4 different ways. Because our characters all have their own agendas.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is something that we know full well that we're fine with this play style.
Yeah.
And this would mean that once we go into town, you're just gonna be like on your phone fucking around for like an hour or so while the DM takes care of the 2 people ahead of you. And we're all just kind of communally fine with that.
Exactly. You've already figured that out.
Yeah, and like if something happens where like maybe a certain item is discovered somewhere that like really matches someone aesthetic, we all have like essentially earring like sending stones to communicate with each other in like a team speak. And if we notice something, we'll be like, hey, have your character come here and interact with this scene.
Yeah.
Totally.
So, like, we have found that all works fine for us. So, like, yes, a DM focusing on one player to the detriment of other players is to be avoided. However, some groups can be fine with not being in the limelight all the time.
Yep.
Things, and they give the other players no chance whatsoever to do anything in the game. It is your job as the Dungeon Master to create that opportunity for the quieter players to participate. Quiet down the talkative ones and ask the others what they want to do. Also, when it comes to custom magic items, integrating backstories into the game and other such things, make sure that you share the love with all of your players.
I would also further add that he said, like, quiet down the players and ask quiet down the talkative players and ask the quieter ones what they want to do. I actually, when I was DMing my first game, had a player that, like, it was their first time ever playing D&D, and they joined at, like, level 6.
Yep.
Because their work schedule recently had opened up, and they're like, I want to play with the boys. So I had them join the campaign, and of course they chose a rogue. Nice and mechanically complex. But I like everyone at that point pretty much already knew exactly what they wanted to do. They already had characters established that like had goals and stuff. And it's whenever there was downtime, I made sure to like make a point of going like, oh, what's Josephine doing right now? Just so that, or wait, no, Josephine wasn't his rogue. I forget the name of his rogue. What's so-and-so doing right now? Simply because I wanted to give them a chance to be involved, and B, I wanted them to like earn experience as a D&D player and like get more used to role playing.
Yeah.
Number 17, getting burned out.
Hey.
DM burnout is real. I have experienced it myself, and when I'm burned out, my games suffer dramatically. The causes can be varied: running too many games, other stresses or busyness in your life, or just getting bored with D&D. Actions I've taken in the past to help with DM burnout: cutting games so that being a DM stops feeling like work and starts feeling more like fun again. Taking a break. Reading fantasy novels or monster manuals or adventure modules to reinvigorate my passion. Eating pack after pack of sweet, delicious bacon. Personal remedies may vary, but ignore DM burnout at your own peril. Number 18.
Yes.
Getting overwhelmed.
We have talked about burnout in this video even.
Yeah.
You buy all the core books. You buy all the third-party books. You brainstorm so many ideas for campaigns. You want to use all of the monsters. You start creating your own game world, because all good DMs have their own world, right? So much to read, so much to do. This will take months, years before I'm ready to run my first campaign. Time to get cracking. Let's go! Until you're a crazy-eyed mess hugging your favorite blankie in the fetal position over in the corner. So how about we just take a deep breath, calm down a little bit, and I'll try to calm down too. Just start small. Start running the game, and then add slowly as you go. Your sanity will thank you. Number 19.
That's a way to do it.
While I think this is a perfectly valid point, and valid, in fact, advice to give to someone.
Yeah.
I know an exception to that, and that's my DM in the game where we all go our separate ways. Sure. My DM is a fucking freak of nature, who did go about buying all sorts of third-party books, who did go about making their own world, with a freakish fervor. Getting all the minis, painting all the minis, using every monster ever.
Nice.
And making sure that 80 to 85% of every monster he used had minis that were fully painted. I have received 2 minis of my character, one with angel wings and his ASMR boof. They can poof out their wings. One with wings and one without.
Jesus Christ.
Nice. It is. I don't know how my DM manages that. Working full time and playing the amount of Minecraft he does. He has, anecdotally, I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and he joined her server, and then they were all hanging out, having fun playing, and then she was like, Dave, show me your house. And Dave was like, oh, okay, and they walked for 45 minutes and got to an entire village.
Nice.
And they were like, oh.
Been busy, huh?
Yeah, literally, he plays Minecraft for 8 hours a day, works 8 hours a day, prepares D&D for 8 hours a day, and I don't know when he sleeps or eats.
He doesn't
Fucking
need to.
sounds like a gig, like an actual Giga Chad.
Yeah.
But he was a culinary arts major, and
he knows how to sustain himself with little.
I fucking guess. Because I'll be like, hey dude, what you making tonight? And he's like, I was thinking of making some homemade ramen. I've got some pork loin that I was making to make char siu.
Yeah.
And then I think I'm going to make some soy sauce eggs and stuff. And Recently I found like some Naruto roll at like a specialty store, and I'm thinking of giving it a shot. And I'm like, how do you have time for this?
Just thinking, like, Jesus Christ, that's like hours. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know where he lives too. It is, I would say, a 30 to 45-minute drive to his house from his work.
Wow.
Damn.
I mean, both being able to know how to do these things and then also have that time management skill, I guess, you know? That's crazy.
That man is living 28 to 30-hour days.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
We should all be so lucky.
I know,
So
right? Yeesh.
you can, if you are a cryptid, you can pursue this with a feverish pitch.
Yes, exactly. Which is why I said this is a way to do it. You don't have to do it this way. You can do it however
It is
works
not
for you.
recommended.
No.
But
No.
You can theoretically do it.
Yes.
I don't recommend it.
Being too generous with wealth and magic items. This is the classic new Dungeon Master mistake. Almost every Q&A live.
By the way, Boo? You there?
Yeah.
Boo, I want you to pay attention to this bit.
Live stream,
Okay.
I get this question. Luke, I gave my players too many magic items. Now they're all OP and steamrolling the module. What do I do?
I have two answers to this. One, you made your bed, now
Yeah.
go sleep in it. Next time, do
that's
better.
what I do.
Or two,
Yeah.
prostrate yourselves before your players with an offering of bacon and beg for mercy. Explain the issues the magic items are causing and ask for help. Maybe that means they give a few back. Maybe it means not using them so much. I don't know. Hopefully you and your group can come up with a solution that everyone is good with. I really think offerings of bacon help in this situation. You know, give me back your +3 sword and I'll give.
I never noticed that he did a lot of like food things before. I guess is this a new
But it's
thing?
constantly bacon. So
No, this was the video before. It was nachos for that one thing. Like,
oh,
yeah, I've noticed a theme now.
it's very out of character.
It's a bit
Yeah.
that keeps getting funnier.
Yeah, it keeps getting funnier every time he does it.
I get it. I'm just like, I just noticed now that it's just a thing now. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it's just
Give you a pack of bacon. It's gonna work. You know it's gonna work. Number 20, forgetting to have fun too.
Hey.
And this is the mistake all dungeon masters, new and veteran, can so easily fall into. This is a game. If we're not having fun, why are we playing it? Click on the screen now to learn about the top
Oh,
7
okay. and that's it.
Simple, sweet, and to the point. Absolutely.
I fully endorse this video.
Yeah, no, the video good.
yeah, no, it's
Video
fine.
good.
This is an example of a video that I like. I've liked videos that we've covered on this channel.
Yeah.
Sorry, not. I don't mean when I say this channel. I don't mean like DM Blair.
His
I
channel.
mean like
You mean on the show?
yeah, on the show. We've had videos I like, but like I would still hold this one very high amongst the videos I like.
Yeah, no, this is good.
Like,
this is actually good.
This is a really good video, and this is 100% going to be a video that like I probably will give to people who are like, help me like learn to DM. Like, I fully endorse this video. This is a very good video.
Okay.
I consider being too stingy with magic items worse, says Lux.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think
It comes down to what sort of world, like high magic
Yeah.
or low magic, you want to run.
because
Yeah.
like I can tell you for a fact that if you do a lot of magic items in 5e, you break it because it's
Yeah.
not built for it. They're there.
Which is fucking ridiculous. to
Yeah,
me.
they're there, but they really don't help you as a DM.
They unbalance it a lot.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but like, otherwise, like you just have to account for it at that point. You know, if you really want to use them, you got to figure out how to, make it work.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that. That's good. we'll move on to comments now, and then
Alright.
we'll get the fuck out of here. So,
We'll let you take the forefront on that while I go package up my
yes.
leftovers.
Of course,
Okay.
of course.
And then I actually have something I need to take care of, so I'm gonna go ahead and dip here.
Absolutely. Go on and
Alright.
dip. No worries.
Yes, so have a good night. Glad I was able to make it for some of it.
Hell yeah.
And see you potentially on Thursday. Maybe.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes.
All right.
See ya.
Yep. See ya.
Okay, so let's continue. So this is... these are from last week and such. They're over 2 weeks because Big Sad happened. So, Timothy Martin on last week's says, on this topic, I forget all of the time about disease in D&D, but I do tend to agree that disease works best as a storyline. I'm unsure. I'm sure homebrew fixes will help, however. I would most likely just do something else instead of disease. It's fun to talk about at the very least. Yes, I would agree with you. That is true. It just seems like it's better to use as a plot point more than a, oh my goodness. That's, I'm gonna turn that off. Why is that loud and, okay, there we go. I think that was, there was like a sync or something. Anyway, disease is much more of a useful thing as a plot point than it is as an actual mechanic that you have to deal with. As for alchemy, I like it because it's a form of magic, and magic will always be awesome. Thanks for the video, guys. Have a nice day. Well, thank you, Timothy. Appreciate you. And then John Parker on episode 40, a grand gateway video and D&D being both show and not. Slow and not. Slow. At 2 hours and 17 minutes, when Sneaky Adolf was describing his soul coin gun, the imagery that came to mind was some of the opening flying gunfights / bombardment from the anime Tanya the Evil, which is strangely fitting. Never heard of it. Why does it keep doing that? I'm gonna mute the Discord audio until Aiden gets back. That is a sync. Okay. It just sounds like static from this end. Anyway, John Parker on that same video says, Deadlands 1E has an interesting alternative initiative system that involves variable turn order and number of actions each round. Initiative is determined by rolling your quickness stat. Deadlands uses exploding dice and only counts the highest die result in a pool. For instance, a character with a quickness of 3d6 rolls all of the dice, and they come up as 2, 4, 6. You would roll the 6 again and add to the sum until you stop rolling the max for the die. In this example, if the reroll was a 4, your total would be 10. You draw cards from a standard deck of playing cards, including both jokers. If you bust, half or more of your dice are 1s, you don't get to draw a card. If you don't bust, you get 1 card. A 5 gets a second card, and for each raise, each 5 you beat a DC by is a raise. You draw another card to a maximum of 5 under normal circumstances. After this is done, turn order is taken in the order of card number / suit, starting with the Ace of Spades and ending with the 2 of Clubs. The red Joker is a wild card that can be taken anytime, whereas the black Joker goes last and is bad for you and shuffles the deck at the end of the round. Oh, interesting. Cool. And then Pizza Funk on last week's. A major flaw in my writing is I have a tendency to explain everything. Like in my stories, I want to tell how the world was created or how the universe was created. Obviously, it's not always essential, and there's a middle ground I need to find. Which leads me to why I don't like the idea of magic not working for diseases. Like, why? I know the characters wouldn't know why, but me, the player / DM, wants to know, especially if I'm the DM. However, 2 complex solutions could be: 1, to introduce parasites. Parasites cause and have disease symptoms. An argument for magic not working on parasites could be that healing spells are targeted, and the caster of said spell may not know what parasite is in the person receiving the spell effect. Parasites are more complex creatures than cells/germs. Loose definition of the word creature, I know. So that might be more of an argument as to why spells don't immediately work on them. The caster would have to figure out what parasite it is, whilst normal cure spells cure the symptoms and more normal illnesses. It's an interesting way to do it. 2, to introduce ancient holy afflictions, like have the illness cured, only for it to come back with time. The illness could have been contracted when players were searching, or when the player was searching through an ancient abandoned holy site of a god, and now has this weird fungus growing inside their lungs. The player can find out about this by having them cough up bits of the fungus. So now the quest is to find a powerful druid or a tribe of druids. The druid could cure the affliction, and the player can move on. I was going to continue writing other branching paths from option 2, but I had to stop here because if I didn't, I would have just started. I would just start writing a second half of a campaign. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, another good way to do it. This is the thing. This one becomes more of a plot point, I think. But it does explain at least a bit of it. But I think, again, we were talking about how it's used as more of a plot point just for more ease of use and less annoyance of gameplay, right? And that just seems like that's just another way to do it, right? But again, both of these are interesting. I like the parasite idea. It'd be interesting to kind of test that out. And then John Parker on last week's episode. From the discussion and video on diseases, it appears that diseases have a few problems mechanically, at least for player characters. 1. Diseases have low save DCs, meaning they are realistically only a threat to low-level characters. 2. The debilitating effects are either nothing or extreme, at least for the diseases presented in the source material. 3. Curing diseases is far too easy. In 5e from the videos starting at 2nd level with a paladin or 5th level with restoration. Yes. 4. There are too few examples of diseases in the source material to be able to base homebrew off or gain inspiration from. This is obviously more subjective. Yes. The solution to problem 1 is easy enough. Increase the save DC either as a flat increase or per exposure to the source of the disease in a day. That's a way to do it. The solution to problem 2 is to make the effects more debilitating or add different effects. Ability score damage was how most diseases impacted characters in 3.5. This lost mechanic could make a return and add tension and a back-and-forth fight with the disease that can be improved with long-term medical care. A disease would deal its damage on a failed save, and the character could heal some of that damage with rest, 1 point per day in 3.5. Oh, that got loud again. In 3.5. Increased if receiving long-term care to 2 per day. Ability score damage is merely an example and not the only solution. You could also have a disease that inhibits or limits spellcasting. This disease wouldn't affect non-casters, but could be horribly debilitating to casters with potential effects, including reducing the number of spells per day, access to a school or schools of magic, reducing spell effectiveness, or making all of their magic wild. Ooh, I like that.
I return and see Boo has left us.
Yes, he had things that he needed to do.
Gotcha.
Also, your sync is very loud.
Oh, sorry.
It sounded like static, and I was confused for a while. But I muted you through it, so
Okay.
it's all good. Problem 3 has 2 straightforward solutions. The abilities that normally cure disease don't do that anymore or aren't guaranteed to cure diseases, nerf the classes / spell options. Or 2, some diseases are of supernatural origin and are resistant to the normal effects that cure disease or add another layer that has to be removed first. An example of this is the disease mummy rot from 3.5, which is both a powerful disease that sets in after 1 minute incubation period and deals 1d6 constitution and 1d6 charisma damage after the incubation and every 24 hours thereafter. It comes paired with a powerful curse that makes normal healing more difficult and prevents the disease from being removed until the curse is lifted first. Buff diseases or buff specific disease options. I like that as the solution, actually. I like making it so that it's something that you have to get the curse off first. That actually sounds better. The solution to problem 4 is for inspiration outside of 5e. Contagion is a spell in the 3.5 player's handbook. Can be used to cast one of the following 7 diseases: blinding sickness, cackle fever, filth fever, mind fire, red ache, shakes, and slimy doom. Pathfinder 2e, as brought up in the show, has dozens of diseases. As far as... Okay, so what I want to say is absolutely looking outside of 5e is good for inspiration. I think our problem more so is if you aren't going to do that, or if you don't have, not that you don't have the ability, but more just maybe you want to keep everything kind of in 5e because you don't want to have to change things from a different edition or anything. 5e itself doesn't have those things enough, I think. So it makes it kind of... It is trying to be the tool that you use, whereas Hold on. It is trying to be the only thing that you need to use in order to create this disease. But the examples in it aren't done in such a way that makes it so it is reliable in that respect, is how I would put it, I guess. Basically, 5e doesn't do it well enough for its own system. And I think that was our problem, more so. But yes, look outside of it, because 5e needs help with that. As far as alchemy is concerned, the amount of detail that your group wants in alchemy is entirely subjective and table dependent. The more detail the group wants, the more work it puts on the DM's shoulders. Be grateful to your DM, especially if they come up with interesting ways your murder hobo can butcher the monsters to make potions and salves. As a counterpoint to what was said in the show by the cast, alchemy in 3.5 is handled by the craft skill and produces non-magical items. Alchemical items continue to function in anti-magic fields and dead magic areas. Oh. The skill requires the ability to cast spells, however. That's right. It doesn't, however, it doesn't use experience points to craft alchemical items. Oh. Without a high skill in craft alchemy, you won't be able to produce the more expensive alchemical items quickly. Potions in 3.5 are not alchemical and are created using the magic item creation rules. That's true. I did forget that. Interestingly, you can create a potion of magic missile, which would cast the imbiber of the potion to be struck by the magic missiles as though the spell were cast on them. 3.5 also has over 100 alchemical items spread across its many books, only 10 of which are in the player's handbook. The epic level handbook has rules for epic level uses of craft alchemy, whereby you can create a more powerful version of the original substance. The numbers are really off and a complete joke for actually using the alchemical items at that level of play, and should either be scaled up to be appropriately epic or reduce the DCs and cost multiplier dramatically so that the more potent alchemical items are accessible at much lower levels. For instance, a standard vial of acid requires a DC 15 craft check to make progress on creating it and deals 1d6 points of acid damage with a market price of 10 gold. For each additional 1d6 of damage, the DC to craft is increased by 20, and the cost is multiplied by 5. A vial of acid that deals 2d6 acid damage costs 50 gold with a DC of 35. A vial of acid that deals 5d6 damage costs 200 gold with a DC of 95. Yeah. I remember those kinds of DCs in 3.5. They're a little much in some instances. And then, again, John Parker on episode 42. The first time we went live. Oh. Shad's lunge is representative of the feat lunging strike from the player's handbook 2. The feat allows you to use a full round action to add 5 feet to your reach for a single attack. Many other combat techniques that would require more specialized training are also represented in feats. From the player's handbook alone, there is spring attack during movement, whirlwind attack each opponent within your threatened area, power attack, sacrifice accuracy for damage, cleave, get a follow-through attack after downing a foe, many shot, fire multiple arrows at once. The list goes on, and even more are added with more books. Shad's whirlwind trip example can be accomplished in 3.5 with the whirlwind attack feat replacing each attack you get with a trip attempt. Trip attempts can be made in place of an attack roll. However, it is a little sketchy whether whirlwind attack allows the attacks it grants to be replaced by the various combat maneuvers that replace attack rolls by rules as written. In 3.5 at least, you can share space with other creatures. If you aren't two size categories different...
Isn't it only friendly creatures?
Well, it says, if you aren't two size categories different from the other creature or tiny size or smaller, you suffer a -4 penalty to attack rolls and AC from squeezing. Squeezing also applies to creatures occupying cramped or tight spaces, e.g. a hill giant in a 5-foot wide tunnel. Yeah. Encumbrance and what you carry are very important and should not be just glossed over. Nearly every RPG video game that I can think of has some form of encumbrance or carry capacity built in, whether it is by strict weight or volume or both. Heck, even most first-person shooters respect some level of encumbrance. Master Chief can only carry 2 weapons, 3 when dual-wielding, and a limited supply of ammo for those weapons, which for some reason he discards when he switches weapons. That's right. In addition to a limited supply of grenades and other tools. The reason for limiting Master Chief is clearly not for realism, although a case could be made that while he can flip a truck, he can't strap 1,000 grenades to himself and have easy access to them for use in combat, but for gameplay balance reasons. Carrying capacity in video games often leads players to interesting decision points as to whether they pick up certain items or not, and whether to keep or discard items. I agree that encumbrance and carry capacity is not for all players, and some people would prefer to remove the very realistic limitation from their entertainment escape from the harsh reality of gravity, but that is for their own group to decide on. As a review of DM Layer's slot system, it seems like an elaborate version of the existing system of counting total weight by adding a strange abstraction of volume, aka slot size. A giant inflated plastic bag can take up a small slot due to its weight, but it is definitely harder to carry 20 of them than it is to carry a single 20-pound box. It also feels like it would be a lot more difficult to track the total slots that your items take up and requires an additional sheet for your character sheet rather than the far simpler system of adding up the weight on the equipment section of the character sheet you already have. Thank you, John Parker.
This is in no way D&D related.
Mm-hmm.
But you brought up Master Chief at a point in my life at which, like, I am currently playing Halo.
Yeah, I actually want to play through them soon.
This second, I paused in Halo.
Oh! Crazy.
Because I recently was given adult money. And not just adult money that I gotten before, but like I'm working in a new job. I have adult money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? I have far better internet here than I had before, and I have adult money.
That's true.
I should just like And I impulse bought the Halo Infinite campaign, and I'm
Oh,
playing through it, and it's pretty fun. Not gonna lie.
sure.
Um,
I hear mixed things.
yeah, apparently it slogs down towards the middle, and I'm
Um,
starting to get there.
um,
But the beginning and end are fantastic.
okay.
Um,
Not what I've heard, but go on.
but um, there is a point where you are talking to there's like a human in the game. He's a Pelican pilot, and he's
Oh.
like he's the one who finds Chief like just drifting in space.
Oh.
Brings him in, rescues Chief, then Chief starts tearing a hole through the Banished.
Sure.
And there's a point, like a few hours into the game, like 10 or 12 hours into the game, where he goes, "Oh, Chief, like, I've known you for like, what, 6, 7 hours? It's been eventful." And I kind of paused when I heard that because I took stock of where I was, and I'm like, I have neutralized like 7 positions that were deeply guarded, all in like 6 or 7 hours. Like, boy was found drifting dead in space and comes back, cracks some knuckles, and goes about just snapping ungoy necks.
That's right.
And that is why my status on Discord is they only try you in the or the Hague for humans.
True.
Because I cannot physically imagine a world where Master Chief just cleaved his way like a red hot knife through butter
Yeah.
through like ranks of enemy infantry without committing a veritable assortment of war crime.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. The term war crime was outdated before Master Chief came into being. Like, they don't care.
Like, dude heard the Geneva Convention and took that as a personal challenge.
Yeah, yeah. It's the Geneva suggestion, we all know.
Ugh.
um and then Unit Rico on episode 115 says, "Oh, no worries, Aiden. No hate towards Calax units. I have one myself. They're absolutely fantastic, easy to put together, and they look pretty good. I love them." There you go.
Alex?
Yeah, you were talking about your shelf.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because they were talking about IKEA stuff.
Yeah,
And
okay.
you got
with the context of IKEA.
yes. Yes. And then Lux on last week's other comments have already discussed practical ideas, and the main opinion I have about dealing with both disease and alchemy is that you should just look at 3.5 or Pathfinder for ideas. That said, what I don't like is for alchemy to be presented as no more than a system for combining materials to create potions. Alchemy is much broader than that. To put it simply, alchemists believed that all matter was comprised of the 4 basic elements of earth, fire, air, and water, and that any material could be transmuted by altering its elemental composition. 3.5 is closer...
I believe wind... No, well, maybe wind was just air, but I could have sworn wind was considered an element.
I'm sure that it's air.
I could be wrong.
I'm sure it's just colloquially air at this
Yeah.
point. 3.5 is closer to the right idea, with the large number of alchemical substances that can be created. But personally, I would like for an alchemy system not to just have items that can be created, but to also have properties that can be added or removed from existing items. For example, you could make something harder or softer, or make it flammable or sticky, and I would say it's probably better to just have a gold cost for raw materials or whatever alterations are being performed, instead of bothering to make the lengthy list of ingredients that someone could probably just buy anyway. And that's all I ended up having to say this time. Short comment, but it took forever to write because nothing would come to me. That's alright. Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. I want to see an alchemist class that is something that's very interesting in the sense of not just I brew potion, I throw potion, right? Because that's usually what you see. So if you get something like the alchemist in, at least in, I don't know if it was Pathfinder 1E, but I think it probably was because that was what the game was. Pathfinder 1E could create potions that allowed you to use a spell, right? And that's interesting, but it's something, but I like this idea of also being able to use it to, as you say, harden things, make them flammable or sticky, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, change the world around you because that's what you do. Because that's interesting.
I make the barbarian squishy.
I make him balloon.
I throw a potion of squishiness at his feet, and I turn the bandit into essentially like an ochre.
Yes, exactly. Encumbrance is a part of character balancing, so I do consider it something
not ochre. What's it called? It's like a slime, like a gelatin. Fuck it, I'll just call it a gelatinous cube. It's
okay. Encumbrance is part of your character balancing, so I do consider it something you should track, but it's also I immediately try to find a way to get around it because it can really trip you up. Like a mule and a cart is one of my top investments, and a bag of holding as soon as I can swing it. Yeah. Actually, a Heward's Handy Haversack in 3.5, but that's slightly more obscure, although it's in the DMG, I think. Yes. Heward's Handy Haversack is great. Everybody loves it.
I'd say.
And then finally, John Parker. On episode 43, when we discussed Tasha's Cauldron of everything. The cosmology of the Forgotten Realms explicitly includes Oerth, Greyhawk setting, Kryn, Dragonlance, and Earth, where we live. In crystal spheres, giant spheres made of crystal that contain planetary systems and somewhat represent a material plane that floats suspended in the phlogiston, the stuff between crystal spheres. Faerun is a single continent on the world of Toril. While Faerun is the primary setting of nearly all of the source books and novels set in the Forgotten Realms, it isn't the only one. Maztica is another continent on Toril and has, from an outside perspective, an Aztec/Mesoamerican theme/setting. Oh. The campaign setting of Al-Qadim is on the continent of Zakara. And there you go. Very cool. Thank you. Yeah, and that is all the comments done. Dusted. Ready for your next ones. All of them. Every single one. Oh my god. So, thank you, everybody, for coming by, hanging out. Those of you who are, those of you who did, and those of you who will. Appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed. If you made it to this point, maybe. Who knows?
I want you to know, listener, in the future.
That's right.
Who only recently came upon the TableTalk brand.
That's right.
That I value you just as much as I value our current listeners and audience.
That's right.
The fact that you don't exist yet, because you have not found us yet, therefore you do not exist.
And are potentially in a hyper position of maybe never not existing. Go on.
The fact that you are in a hyper position of not existing does not mean I discriminate against you. I love you just as much as our current audience members who actually exist.
That's right. Oh, it'll never not be true. It's interesting.
Yeah, and also never not be false.
Exactly. So, Yeah, you know the thing at this point. Think about it. Do the liking or the maybe more comments, and maybe go watch more things, and maybe whatever. Do the subscribes.
Do what the fuck you want.
Yeah,
Look at the YouTube recommended, and
No.
if that
We'll never
and
do
if
that.
if that looks cooler than Table Talk, then like
Yeah, true.
you can click on it, and I'll only be deeply offended.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I'm not your dad. Do whatever you want.
I'll cry myself to sleep at night, but like, who cares?
Thank you to our patrons. That
Only
is, of
write
course.
my journal that you ignored me.
That is, of course.
Future listener.
Draco Kraken.
You come up with conversations with my therapist every weekend.
Mog Zero, Rick, aka Unit Rico.
Log journal entry about that.
Slazer,
I'm done.
Steely, Drake Cross, Chris, Frozen Spaghetti, Kill Chrono, Lux the Oracle, and our Tier 1. Thank you all. Appreciate you. Hope you continue to enjoy, and we'll see you next week, definitely, for more of the show. So go away. Get out of here.
Please.
Go on. My throat is dying.
Remember what I said about valuing you? It's no longer true. Get out. You disgust me.
I'm ending it there.
No!
No, I'm ending it right now.